Hello, welcome back to Sword and Board.
Welcome back to Sword and Board.
It's sort of a Sword and Board show-ish, I suppose. We're going to be looking at a tier list ranking for the new Dragonflight classes because we're giant fucking WoW nerds, and that's what we do all day, every day.
I don't know what you're talking about. I never play WoW.
Oh my god. Tell us about Cool Guy Steve.
Cool Guy Steve is my new warrior. He just hit 60, and his name is Cool Guy Steve.
Great.
He's really cool.
So how does this tier list work then? Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so S is going to be S rank. I was thinking about how we...
Yeah.
Shut up. I was thinking about how we... super. I don't know. What does that stand for?
Supreme, superior, I don't know.
Superior. Let's go with superior. I like that. Yeah, so the idea is the higher up top you are, the better it is. Now, what I want to look at with this tier list isn't per se what classes we think are going to do the best. What I want to look at, and tell me if you're on board with this, is more of what the talent trees for just the class, not the specs, what the class talent trees look like, and whether they will be enjoyable, and whether we think they'll be a fun class to play based on their talents. Mm-hmm. Because numbers can change, right? I mean, if right now you're like, Mage is bad because
I mean, there's
Iceland's, yeah. If Mage is bad because Iceland's only has a 50% ratio, if they make it 2,000%, yeah, they're gonna be busted, right?
Yeah.
So I try not to look at numbers at this, but on whether their trees look fun, engaging, whether you're gonna have fun playing the class.
Yeah, because both of us spent like a couple weeks like doing research on this shit, and like looking at like beta talent builds, and I learned a lot actually, because I don't play every class on this list, and obviously Evoker's a new class we both knew nothing about. But I went through and I looked at all the talent trees, and I actually looked like point by point, like where the talent would be useful, how powerful I thought it would be, and how often you would be seeing value from that talent point. So I actually had to go through like kind of a mathematical analysis of the whole thing to try and figure out for myself what talent trees, and we're talking about just the class talent trees today, what talent trees I thought would be the most impactful, or the most like how valuable each point you would spend in this class talent tree for each class. So in my mind, I'm looking at it like, all right, let's say for example there's a talent point in the class tree for like rogues where you just get like double crits like at all times. It's like, okay, that talent is going to be pretty powerful for all rogues. But if you were looking at it like, let's say for example, a Druid, and a Druid has a thing where you get double crit for spells. It's like, okay, that's great for half of the Druid trees, but it's terrible for the other half. So that's kind of how I had to go in and look at it, is I kept my mind focused on like, okay, what are the roles that this class is going to play, and how do each of these talents fit into that role, and how impactful is it? So that's how I weighed the classes when I was looking at them.
And I mean, you guys are going to see it, but Derek actually took a legitimate mathematical approach to this.
Oh, I don't know if I want to show everybody, but I have it.
He's got a scoring, so it's really interesting. I think it's interesting. You don't have to show, but I think it's relatively interesting on how you scored everything. The way I looked at it was I looked at each tree as having a left, a middle, and a right side, with the exception, I think Mage had kind of two middles, the way it was set up. And then I looked and I tried to look for synergies within like the left side of the tree, and the middle side, and the right side, because you're not going to be able to hit every talent in there. You're going to have to like kind of choose and tailor down a certain specific side, because you can't go all right and then be like, oh yeah, this middle point on the left side I'm going to grab. Mm-hmm. Another thing that I found really interesting was finding the synergies based on spec and the main tree. To give an example, without giving too much away, I find it really odd if if the healer side of things is in the middle, but then the tank's to the far left and the DPS is the far right, because I feel like DPS and tank mesh better together or closer to each other, and healer works better with some tanking and maybe some damage. It's hard for me to say. We'll get into it a little bit more, but I look more on positionals where the positioning of each talent is, and I also noted some key talents that I thought were really cool or really interesting. Also, do know I don't play every class here either. I'm primarily a Paladin main. I'm looking at playing Evoker next expansion. I played a good amount of Death Knight last expansion. I played Mage and used to play a lot of Shaman, and I play Warrior and Warlock now. So I'm missing like half of them.
Probably the last thing we need to talk about before we set this up is what our experience level is with each of these.
Right.
Like, for example, I play almost every class. The only ones I don't really play are Death Knight, Demon Hunter, Monk. I don't play that much, but I have one. And I would say the other ones I pretty much have some experience with at least one spec. I would say I'm the most experienced with Shaman. But I've played a lot of Warrior, I've played a lot of Paladin, I've played a lot of Mage, Druid, I have a Rogue, like I have almost all classes at level 60. Again, just with a couple exceptions here and there. But hopefully we know enough about the game between the two of us so we can figure out what's going on with these, builds and what's valuable and what isn't.
Yeah, realistically, my weak spots are Demon Hunter, Rogue, and probably Priest. Priest is one I'm a little weaker on.
So let's just get started. We're going to start with Death Knight. I'm just going to flash over here to the tree so we can take a look at it and kind of point things out here and there. But why don't you give me your thoughts on the Death Knight class tree?
So, I used to play a lot of Death Knight. Last expansion in particular, I was pretty much a Death Knight main the whole time. I haven't played it much this expansion, but I have an idea of how it kind of works. I think this is one tree where it's very clear which side is which spec, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going Blood, you're going to hang towards the middle, Frost is left, and Unholy is going to be the right side. Now, the cool thing about that is in a real sense, you could be a Blood Death Knight who decides to go down the Unholy tree. But the problem is, let's be real with each other, that's not going to be effective. There's no way, in the end, I see that being an effective build path where you could be traditionally strong, right? Where you're doing Mythic plus 20s. Like, you're not going to be doing the highest levels of content. Now, on your standard player, could you go ahead and do that? Absolutely. I don't see why that would be a problem at all. But this is definitely a tree where you have very specifically, it's laid out pretty easily. I don't think any Death Knight looking at this is going to be like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of a pattern going forward, is that obviously you're going to start with one of these points unlocked based on your specialization, and you're going to build out from there. So Blood Death Knights are going to start here with Death Strike. Unholy Death Knights are going to start with Raised Dead, and Frost Death Knights are going to start with Chains of Ice, and you kind of progress vertically. And we can talk about that too, like how impactful are some of these early talents. Like, some of them are pretty weak, and I think on certain classes they're weaker than others. But I feel like for for the Death Knight, a lot of these talents in the center are actually going to be a lot more useful, which is probably why, and speaking to your point about positioning, why the Blood Death Knight is in the center and the Frost and the Unholy have been separated, because I think Frost and Unholy are going to want to dip into some of these talents in the middle, and perhaps some of these over on the right side if they can reach them for a specific build. But I think overall you're going to have more flexibility with Blood going into either side and picking up and kind of picking and choosing here and there what talents you like.
Right. If I may. So with Frost in particular, the first thing that I want to point out, and this is going to be an ongoing thing throughout all of them, is going to be Mind Freeze, your kick. All right? It's really accessible. Yes, is it on the far left? Yes. But Unholy, you have to put 2 points in that side. It's easy to get to. You're not really going to be inconvenienced by it. So I'm happy with
Ice, I think Chains of Ice is going to be useful for every Death Knight. So, let's just make this abundantly clear for everyone who maybe hasn't looked at these trees before. There are breakpoints here. So to progress into the second tier, you're going to need to spend 8 points, and to progress into the third tier, you're going to need to spend 20 points anywhere above that line. So even if you were to, for example, take this Blood Death Knight build and get all of these points, you would just barely be short. You have 7 points spent here. So there is some expectation of dipping into other builds to even unlock lower talents. But you can see here, you don't even unlock that much if you were to get, oh, I'm sorry, I messed that up. I guess you can take Blood all the way to 8, but that's not the case for some other talent builds. Correct. You're going to need to dip into other areas.
Right.
So spending 2 points to get Chains of Ice and Mind Freeze, 2 very bare bones, like almost like required abilities, I think that's going to be easy to argue for.
Right, and I would almost say is, I forget which one that is right there.
This one here?
Cleaving Strike. Oh, okay. I was thinking it was Deathly Decay for some reason. But yeah, so like they've made it where basically the most accessible, most important abilities are going to be right there, easy to grab. Realistically, I don't see a world where you don't have all 3 of those primary first abilities picked.
I could if it weren't for Cleaving Strikes being so powerful.
Right.
And I mean this. Let's just read this. Like Scourge Strike, Heart Strike, Obliterate is going to hit additional targets while in your Death and Decay, which is, again, that's your bread and butter AoE ability. And then it gives you more AoE on top of it. That almost makes Raise Dead mandatory. Even if you weren't going to use Raise Dead, I think you're going to go for Cleaving Strikes no matter what.
Right. To kind of hang to the left a little bit here, I really like... So it's funny, someone recently told me that a lot of different specs have little benefits for kicking spells.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that in several builds, yeah.
So you're going to notice Anticipation. Successfully kicking will grant 10 runic power and reduce Mind Freeze by 3 seconds.
I think that's called Cold Thirst.
They must have changed it on me. So I have somewhat older stuff. There are a few things that may have been changed slightly. But yeah, Cold Thirst, then, my apologies, is going to give you some of that extra stuff. A little bit further, you're also going to have Blinding Sleet. Which is going to
Let's see where that is. I think it's... Oh, Blinding Sleep. Yeah, there it is. That's that cone-shaped disorient. Yeah, that's really nice.
You also have Permafrost in here, which auto-attack damage gives an Absorb Shield. Icebound Fortitude, we all know what that is. That's going to be
that's your stun immunity. And a nice 30% damage reduction.
Correct. Really good for tank, actually.
So again, that's another incentive for a Blood Death Knight as the tank role to come over here and take some Icebound Fortitude. Take some points in Frost just to get to Icebound Fortitude.
Right. Horn of Winter, which was kind of a staple for
yeah, where did that end up?
I believe it was on the left side. Like I said, things may have switched around a little bit. I know they said they changed. Actually, it looks like they took it out. That's good. Okay, so Horn of Winter no longer looks like it's in there. That's totally fine by me. And at the end,
let me check on here. Sorry, go ahead and make your point. I'm just going to look on the Frost Tree. So things are going to look a little different.
So, the end talents for the left side of the tree.
There it is.
They moved it into here.
Yeah, it's actually a Frost Death Knight talent now.
Okay, very cool. I'm okay with that. That's fine. They basically
that gives some identity to and some synergy, some power for the Frost Death Knights.
Exactly. So the end of the left side of the tree, you're going to have Icy Talons. Runic Power spending abilities increase melee attack speed by 3 to 6%, depending on how many points you do. Stacking up to 3 times, very good. And then Empower Rune Weapon, which is 15% haste and generating 1 rune and 5 runic instantly for every 5 seconds over 20 seconds.
That's a fantastic cooldown, I think, for every Death Knight.
Yes, that's definitely a good one.
And that's one of those points I haven't made yet, but that will come up later, is that some of these capstone abilities are just way better than others.
Yeah.
And it's just really unfortunate. You're looking at them, you're like, wait a second, that's kind of broken. Like, why would I take something like, over here versus Empower Rune Weapon?
But I will say, it is actually possible to take 2 capstone abilities.
Oh, yeah, depending on your build,
On certain trees. I know on a Paladin build I was able to take 2 capstones. So it is possible to kind of hit on multiple things depending on how your build goes. But ultimately, left side of the tree, I felt it was very PvP oriented. A lot of it is slows, things along those lines.
Yeah.
Kicks, right? Mm-hmm. Which
and stun immunities, defensive cooldowns that are useful for common things that are cast against you in PvP.
So I would see left would be more of a PvP style gameplay.
Correct.
Along with, I would say, tanking. Tanking also would swing that
Yep.
direction. I can't see.
I could see that.
Yeah, I would definitely say that a
And then
blood DK going into the frost side is more
Yeah.
likely than a blood DK going into the unholy side. Not that it won't happen.
I would say, and this is just what I was just gonna point this out, is that it seems like the left side of this class tree, like you're saying right now, is the PvP oriented, but also grants some nice cooldowns for tanking. And I would say this right side is almost more oriented towards Mythic Plus AoE damage. So you might take a Blood Death Knight and dip into Unholy more often if you're going to be running Mythic Plus.
Well, I was even thinking, in particular, a Blood Death Knight might dip Unholy if they're slightly overgeared for like the
Yeah, to increase their
pushing
damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a really good progression build.
Or if they're working,
and that's something that I looked at when I was comparing all of these talent trees in my kind of mathematical spreadsheet way. Is how, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, we have 3 different types of play. We're looking at PvP, we're looking at what I would consider Mythic Plus, so doing dungeons in a 5-man group content. And then we're looking at raids, which are generally speaking boss encounters for the most part.
correct.
And they're
So
going to be single target, and they're going to be in a raid environment where you have 25 players, up to 25 players that you're playing with. So things that like grant powers to your allies are pretty much, you're going to get more value out of them in a raid environment versus a Mythic Plus or PvP environment, but it does depend. So I could see these builds totally happening where you have a Blood Death Knight that wants to PvP or wants to take solo tanking into raids that would dip Frost,
Right.
versus someone that's just focused on doing Mythic Plus that would dip Unholy, or maybe like you said, they want to push and they want to prog and they want to do extra damage in raids. They're going to lose out on some of those mechanics that are useful for PvP that raid bosses are just going to be immune to.
Right. So, and it makes sense. And the thing is, like I said, I think prog rating will dip more Frost if they're tanking, just because they need that extra defense if they can have it. But again, I think when you have that raid on farm, when you're starting to get to that point, they're gonna dip the other side because they don't need the extra defense. What they want to do is get through it as quick as possible.
Exactly.
And so they're gonna push that. So I think that's kind of how that swings for me.
All right, so let's give Death Knight class tree a grade, 1 through 5, or S, A, B, C, D. Where do you see it?
So when I look through everything, including the middle and the right tree, where you have some pretty important things like Soul Reapers on the right side, I thought that was an incredibly important one. And then Abomination Limb, let's bring that back.
Oh God,
From,
that's what I was mousing over a little bit. That's so powerful.
It's such a strong tanking cooldown.
And I'm sorry, what were you mentioning before just now?
Oh,
You said
the capstone ability for the right side is going to be Soul Reaper,
Here it is.
which is just damage.
Oh,
Let's
it's
see
like
how
an
much
execute,
damage.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's an execute, and if they, let's see.
And
If the target
thematically.
is below 35% health, this effect will explode, dealing additional damage to the target. Okay, so it is like an execute, but you can use it above 35%.
Correct.
Cool.
So ultimately, when I was looking through everything, my big deep dive notes is that I feel like when you're running the DPS specs, you're not going to have much choice to run into the other DPS spec. Can it happen? Yes. Like, I think you're right with the multiple targets, the second ability talent on the right side of the tree. I forget its name.
Yeah, we're talking about cleaving strikes
thank
here.
you. I think like they'll grab.
Hitting an extra target in your Death and Decay. Even if you're
Right.
Frost, you're going to want to take that.
So I see that happening, but I don't see a Frost DK landing heavily in the Unholy. And I don't see vice versa either. I think basically it's going to be, I'm a Frost DK with some defensive blood capabilities, or I'm an Unholy with some defensive blood capabilities. So limiting to a point, but not bad. A lot of it was all stuff we've seen before too. Soul Reaper, Abomination Limb.
The Empowered
Rune
Weapon.
weapon.
These are all great abilities, but again, they're not new.
They're not new. And so, granted, the actual trees for the specs are going to have some new stuff in them, but DK felt pretty common and boring to me. And for me, I give it a B for boring. So.
Okay. I came back after reviewing all class trees, and I gave them a grade based on what I saw. And in my mind, I compared them a lot to other trees.
That's fair.
And you could, in my mind, you could see some class trees where it's just like, boom, that's dead on. This is going to be a powerful tree. And I mean, again, I started with Death Knight because it's the first one alphabetically. Just you got to start somewhere. And as I went along through the other classes, I started to see other class trees that kind of put the Death Knight to shame a little bit. And again, what you were saying is that it seems like there's a lot of abilities here that we've already seen before, but I think also a lot of the talent points that you can put in here, they just don't have a huge impact. They're nice power increases. They're little slight bonuses or slight changes to your gameplay.
3% stamina is really nice, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's fine, but you're going to see other areas and other class trees that do it better. So I actually gave it a B as well.
Cool. I'm glad
so we're
we
going to
agree.
put Death Knight right there in B. And I think it's a solid B, and I think this is going to be your standard above and beyond. I think the Death Knight class tree is the most average of all the class trees. It's not bad, it's not great, but it's going to be the one in between bad and great class trees. Cool. All right. So there we have it. We're going to move on to the next one, which is Demon Hunter. Again, this is one that we have not played a lot of, but I will say that my brother plays Demon Hunter, and he's excellent at it. And so I actually asked him a few questions about this. And if you don't mind me just starting this off, I didn't know this about Demon Hunters, but apparently Havoc, which is the DPS spec, did not have access to sigils prior to this expansion in this tree. So all of these sigils over here on the right side,
that's new.
You could potentially take those as Havoc Demon Hunters, and I think that changes the game a bit. You know, having access to this whole other side that was previously, and I mean, it does kind of water it down a little bit. If you're used to playing Vengeance, now every Demon Hunter is going to be able to bring some of these sigils. So Vengeance is going to be a little bit, I would say, less in demand slightly. But again, it's just a build. You know, if you're going to go sigil build, you could play either role and bring those sigils, which I think is kind of the other side of the coin. Maybe you don't have to be Vengeance, but you can still bring those sigils. So in that case, you're going to be bringing the player, not the build.
Which is nice.
Which is nice, and that kind of goes towards something that Blizzard has always said about what they would like to do with talent trees, where you bring the player, not the class.
Now, I will say, if you don't mind me jumping
No, go right ahead.
I think homogenization is not always the best thing. I don't think every single class should have a bloodlust. I don't think every single class should have this or that. And the reason being is because if, say, every single class had a bloodlust, well, Mage puts out the most DPS, so why would you ever bring those other ones? So I don't always agree with homogenization. But within your own class, a Demon Hunter,
Yeah.
I have no problem with them being able to bring sigils. I think that's
Yeah.
a really cool ability that
Right.
they can do that.
And it kind of and it's also another thing where Demon Hunter is the only class in the game that only has 2 specs, so they're going to need a little bit more flexibility in their builds to make up for the fact that they have 1 less specialization to gear around. So that being said, let me just pull out my notes here for my Demon Hunter.
Please, yes.
So yeah, again, reportedly sigils were unable to be used as a Havoc Demon Hunter before, so gaining access to these abilities may change the playstyle of the class drastically. So as it stands right now, the baseline defensive talents, and I'm looking at this class tree like holistically here, the baseline defensive talents seem to be scattered and somewhat weak when you're comparing them to the baseline DPS and damage increasing talents. They seem to be a lot more powerful and a lot more focused. So I could see Vengeance Demon Hunters maybe relying on their spec tree a little bit more to gain all their power and flexibility. But as far as Havoc Demon Hunters go, I think you're going to get a lot of value and a lot of impact out of this. So that kind of, to me, edges it a little bit higher in the terms of like
Well, it's unique.
your general class tree. So again, both both specs are going to get value out of it, but I think the DPS spec is going to get a little bit more value out of it.
Let's talk about the capstone abilities, if you don't mind.
Sure, let's scroll
now,
down here.
I don't know Demon Hunter, like, barely at all. But I know I-Beam's important, so...
Yeah, you can I-Beam build. It basically vaporizes people, from what I understand.
How exciting. Okay, so that's an I-Beam build, it looks like, along with Fell Devastation, which is going to be AoE. So it looks like left side's kind of more AoE focused, maybe? Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. What about the middle capstone?
We can have either a Natural Malice or Relentless Pursuit here.
Oh, God.
So
10,000 years, dude.
Right. These are both related to, and this is what I would call a soft capstone, is the hunt here. So this is an amazing ability, amazing cooldown. And it's only 90 seconds, but this is something you can build an entire character around, is using the hunt.
If I may, really quick,
sure.
I actually find what you're calling the soft capstone, I actually find that to be the capstone, and the bottom ones below them to be amplifiers of a capstone.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. Just to
No, you're right. I'm just saying that it's not technically the bottom talent.
Right.
So some people are going to be like, well, this is the capstone. Yeah, it is, but we're talking about the hunt in both of these situations.
10,000 years, dude.
You're not even going to get to this capstone unless you take the hunt. So this is just amplifying that. And like you said, just changing the playstyle slightly. Now, you could, I like Relentless Pursuit and I like Unnatural Malice. I mean, it seems like they're both useful for their specific situation. So again, this is that difference between Unnatural Malice. I think you would use that in a raid situation where you're going to want to pump as much damage as you can. Versus Relentless Pursuit, you're going to see a lot more value when you're clearing these big AoE packs into Mythic Plus.
I agree.
That means you're going to take this 90-second cooldown and you're going to start reducing it by 12 seconds every time an enemy is killed when it's afflicted by its damage over time effect. So you could potentially drop this. I don't know if there's an internal cooldown or internal limit. You could pull this. You could do this every other pull.
Yeah.
And your damage is going to be astronomical when you're in the Mythic Plus area. So I could see this being a very powerful ability in both situations.
And I really like that it gives you the option of either or for that one, because it allows you to be able to pick
really
the hunt,
smart.
which is really... every Demon Hunter I know is like the hunt. They love the hunt.
It's
and it gives them the option to do it in
yeah.
both sides. They don't have to choose.
That's great. And then the other capstone here, Quick and Sigils. So going back to my point, this is new for Havoc. So all sigils activating 1 second faster and their cooldowns reduced. Let's just take a look at what some of the sigils are. We have Sigil of Misery. This is a Fear and Disorient for 20 seconds. And it activates 1 second faster with Quick and Sigils. So again, you're going to see this in Mythic Plus where you need a little bit of quick CC, and it's not something game breaking, but it's something that's going to disrupt a lot of things going on with the big packs. Silences all enemies for 6 seconds. Again, if you go down Quick and Sigils, that's 1 second. 1 second delay to silence all enemies in the sigil for 6 seconds. That's huge. And then coming back up here, Sigil of Flame. This is going to be your bread and butter. You know, just throw it down and it's fire damage over 6 seconds. Very easy to throw out, 30-second cooldown. You're going to be popping those all the time. As far as I know, that's the only sigils here on the base tree. No, improved sigils. Okay, extended. Yeah, so you could take this right side here and just take it all the way down. And you're going to see value no matter what you're doing. But again, you're bringing these sigils on Havoc, so now you have access to it. And I think that's going to be really cool. So, where would you like to rate this? Unless you have any other comments.
I would have... No, I'm good to go.
Okay.
I would rate it an A.
Okay, that's exactly where I put it. Boom, right there. See? We agree on stuff.
It's amazing.
This is great.
You wouldn't guess that with our D&D sessions.
All right, let's see. Where are we at next? We got Druid next. Now, I have some hot takes on Druid. What do you think?
Well, I have some hot takes on Druid too, actually. Okay, so let's talk. I think the biggest thing we should just hit on is the capstones for this tree.
Okay.
But I will say, if you look at the tree just in general,
yeah,
I think you're going to notice this kind of reminds you of the DK tree, where there's clearly a set path for each one to take. Whereas if you looked at the Demon Hunter, I don't think it's as set as you would think. Like, yes, sigils were generally Vengeance, you said, right?
Yes.
Or Havoc. Regardless, they were
no,
generally...
Havoc starts on the left.
Okay.
So sigils would be on the right.
Okay, and that's normally what those would have, but I don't think that's like a set. It doesn't feel like you have to go that way.
Right.
Whereas this one, I think you run into that class identity where it's like
on rails here.
Yeah, left side is going to be your feral attack. Left middle is going to be your tanking spec. Right middle is resto. Right is balance.
Yeah, far right. Yeah,
far right.
But I think they've done a good job positioning these trees because you can see the difference in identity and where they overlap is really well done. So you have the spellcasting side on the right and the melee side on the left, but you can also see the center is going to be used by PvP healing, where you're going to have a lot of mobility, a lot of survivability, a lot of defensive cooldowns in the middle that are shared by both tanks and healers that are in PvP.
Right.
So, but then, you want to push the edge cases where the DPS lives in their own special little area over here on the left and right side.
So something I noticed with Druid is that they are pushing, which I really like this actually, they are pushing towards a heavy shape-shifting style.
Yeah, that was something I noticed too, and I was a little, I don't want to say concerned, but I was a little hesitant. And I mean, I've played Druid before. I don't know how much Druid you've played.
Middling.
Okay.
I used to have a Druid back when Cataclysm was around, so
Yeah,
it's been a minute. It's been a minute. What is that, 10 years? Something like that?
Yeah.
So it's been a while. Go ahead. Maybe
No, sorry. You were just saying shape-shifting. You were excited about shape-shifting.
So it feels like a return to the old ways where like you're shape-shifting a lot, but I have concerns over it, just like you do. Where, for example, if my bear shapeshifts out of bear, I'm gonna shit myself.
Yeah. Well, I'm mousing over the specific talent for the video so you can see what you're talking about. For 4 seconds after shifting into bear form, your health and armor are increased by 10%. Sounds great, but when are you going to be shifting in?
Out of bear form.
Yeah.
To reshift into bear form to do this.
It's like, I don't know. I don't see really how important that's going to be. And it's only 4 seconds.
So is it going to promote like a style where
let me
after
see.
each
Build this out.
in a Mythic Plus, you like shift shape and you just like run up like a normal night elf or whatever the hell you are.
I don't know.
And then shift into bear really quick. Yeah, it's really odd. I agree.
I'm just throwing points in here. I'm not doing any specific build, but I just wanted to see if I could get down and see what this second level does. Okay, its health and armor are increased by 20% for 2 points.
Right.
So it's 10 and then 20. So that's what I was looking at. I wanted to see if maybe the duration increased for 2 points, but it doesn't. So again, you're shifting out of bear form and then back into it to get 20% health and armor. I don't know, man. I think I would rather just stay in bear.
Yeah, right? I feel like the only use of it is going between your packs on Mythic Plus. Mm-hmm. You shaped into your human, I'm just going to call it human, your visage form.
Sure.
That's an evoker thing.
Oh,
Anyways,
okay.
visage form. So you shape into your visage form and you go like running up and then you shift into bear to charge in. And I'm like, that seems...
I could
excessive?
Also see, so the place where you're probably going to get the most value out of a talent like that is actually going to be PvP. When you shift out, when you're rooted,
True.
And then you're going to go back into bear form to get your feral charge off, that sort of thing. But again, I could be wrong, but I think Cat Druid, especially PvP Cat Druid, I think they have a charge, don't they?
Great question. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
See that's where my class knowledge is a little lacking, because when I played Druid, I usually played Balance Resto. The whole form shifting thing always kind of threw me off, and I never really got used to it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's probably because I'm a bad Druid player, but whatever. This is just my opinions.
The first step is acceptance. So
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm trying to play the best feral Druid because I don't play feral.
Do me a favor. In particular, the middle capstone. Can you go to it?
Yeah, this is Heart of the Wild. This is another older talent or ability that's been in since vanilla, but it's changed so much over the years.
Right. Sorry. One more over to the right.
Oh, okay.
My apologies.
Let's go to
That's
Nature's
the one I was
Vigil.
looking for. Yeah, Nature's Vigil. All single target healing also damages a nearby enemy target. And then for balance, Feral and Guardian, it also has. I found this kind of interesting, actually.
This is great. I like this talent.
This is a Mythic Plus talent.
It is.
This is 100%.
But it could also be taken by any Druid, I think. It's basically free. It lasts 30 seconds. That's a long time. And it's not super powerful. It's 20%, but you're going to see a nice value out of it, right?
Right.
I don't know if you would make a build around it, but I think it's going to be kind of one of those fun talents where you just grab it and you're like, okay, well, let's just start. Let's just pull everything, and I'm just going to pop all this, and we'll just see what happens.
And I haven't play tested at all because I don't have beta, so I haven't play tested at all. But I was wondering, it says single target. Your hots are single target.
Yes.
So I imagine the initial tick does the damage, but not the following ticks.
I understand this to be 20% of all of the healing done that are single targets. So if you're casting a spell like Wild Growth, it's obviously not going to work.
Right.
So this heals up to 5 injured allies. You have I can't remember what it's called, this circle of like mushrooms or something that you put down on the ground.
Yeah, the AoE heal that every healer has.
The healing rain and analog from Shaman.
Yeah.
So those aren't going to apply, but I would understand like regrowth, rejuvenation, life bloom, healing touch, nourish. Those are going to be every tick. I think is going to be dealing damage.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Because otherwise they don't have a lot of single target healing otherwise. So
yeah, but I mean, again, it's not a lot of damage, but it is free.
Right.
And it's for 30 seconds. So you can do an entire pack of Mythic Plus enemies and get a lot of value out of that. It's a lot of free damage.
Okay, so deep dive. Let's hit the deep dive. And then is there anything else you want to go on this stream?
Excuse me. Let's see. Oh man, see, Protector of the Pack. This is where you're going to be casting Regrowth and Moonfire. And this is on the left side, and it's a capstone. Right. I can't see you getting a lot of value out of this because, again, you're storing effective healing to consume all of it to buff the damage of your next Moonfire. My Moonfire as a Restorer is not doing that much damage. And again, and then for all the other specs, 10% of your damage is going to increase your Regrowth. It's like, all right, when am I going to use this, man? When am I shifting out to cast these spells? I just don't see it. I could see going up to Well-Honed Instincts and then coming over here for Heart of the Wild. I don't see anybody taking Protector of the Pack for anything. It's weird.
Yep, so I'm kind of with you there. I think they are giving Druid some fluid options, in a sense. Like, I feel like fluid being the ability to shapeshift all you want. But again, how effective is that going to be? I don't really see Druid players. Now, I'm not a Druid player, but I don't see Druid players seeing this tree and being crazy about it.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Even just looking at this feral thing that I just threw together, this is not like the greatest in the world, but and this is the biggest thing I noticed about this is how many squares are on this fucking board.
Yeah, you're looking at a hodgepodge.
How many base abilities? Well, how many base abilities are here? Like, look, Thrash, this is your basic AoE. Swipe, this is basic AoE. Rip, fucking Maim, Skull Bash. These are mandatory.
Again, they're just giving back the abilities they took away from
Exactly. They took away a lot of your baseline abilities and made them talents, but they're also so core to part of your rotation and part of your utility as that class. You're almost you have to take it. It doesn't feel good to spend talents to get stuff that you've had for years.
That's the problem with the borrowed power system. That's the complaint for years now.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to bring outside judgment into these as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't know if you follow the WoW subreddit.
Not really.
But, so this is specific to Bear Druid, but I'm going to guess it swings this way a little bit too. Yeah, Druids do feel very upset about this. There are two classes in general that are not happy. Mm-hmm. And Druid is one of them, in particular Bear Druid.
Yeah, I could see that.
So, what would you rate it?
It's fine. And again, there's some interesting overlap here in the middle. I don't really see it being that powerful or that impactful. And just the idea of having to go back in and buy things that you've already had for years, it just feels bad, man. If I were to put Druid, I'd probably put it at a C, honestly.
So, if I were to rate him, I struggled a little on this one. I did B- or C+. plus.
Yeah.
I'm going to swing C, though. I agree with you, especially after seeing the community backlash on this one.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the community knows more than me, but in the case that I'm not really a Druid player, I'm going to say they probably know a little bit more than me.
Yeah, I'm not a Druid main, but I have some experience with it. I know enough to be dangerous, right?
Right.
And it just didn't blow me away. It wasn't fun.
I'm there with you.
All right, moving on. We're going to go to the brand new guy that we've done a lot of homework on.
Oh,
Evoker.
boy, we're here. We're at Evoker, guys. We
Finally.
did it. All right.
This is going to be your new main, right?
My new main, yes. So,
and I actually got to play test because I am in the beta. So I got to play a little bit of Evoker, and I will say it feels a little different than what you might expect.
Yes, and that's what I've kind of heard, which is good because I'm primarily a melee player, but I've been trying to over this last expansion play a little less melee, so then I made a warrior named Cool Guys. Yeah. But no, like I have a Warlock who I play pretty frequently. I really like.
That. It's like,
no.
Man, I play too much melee. I'm gonna roll it in fast. Warrior.
Yeah. So yeah, a little bit of a problem there, but I felt like it was It felt like a good mix and more of what I'm looking for in a caster type play style. But let's talk about the tree. So I will be the first to say, because I'm saying it now and you're not saying it, that I think talent trees were made around the idea of evokers. Like, I feel like they built this class.
I can see this, yeah.
They built the class and were like, man, this class would be really great if it had talent trees. And then they're like, let's put talent trees in the games. I literally think they built the talent tree with evokers in mind. Yeah.
I could see that.
It's really good. It's really cool. Good talent tree.
It's cool, for sure.
Something that was interesting though in here.
Yeah.
So they've talked about later on adding other classes to the Drakthir. But what's interesting is that in the Evoker talent tree, there are buffs to your racial abilities.
Well,
interesting to think about, because like a paladin,
maybe they would carry over into the other.
And they could always change it, right? Yeah. If they decide to add paladin, warrior, mage, boo.
Like, hover, for example. I think that's a racial ability. Scroll down here a little bit. Where is hover?
Hover is not a racial. Hover is specific to Evoker.
Okay.
It's the it's tail swipe, and it's interesting. I didn't know this was here.
Oh yeah, it's not complete. This little hole in here.
So it's called tail swipe, and the other one is wing. Oh yeah.
Wing buffet.
Buffet. And I love all the people online saying wing buffet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are in here, which was interesting. But ultimately, I think that the left tree is going to be a fire breath and CC tree, right?
Yep.
Crowd controlling tree. The middle tree looks like it's going to be damage reduction, which will be kind of interesting. Like, there's a lot of damage reduction in the middle tree, so I don't think anyone's just gonna hang tight on that middle one. I think the idea is they're gonna swing left or right and tap into the middle one as they go.
Correct. And I think this is more the PvP shift in the middle.
That's true. That's a really good point.
There.
It's going to be the PvP. So maybe the middle tree will just be your PvP focus.
Yep.
And then the right tree is your healing tree. Having some healing in there, I see that being kind of a thing. What do you think on everything so far?
Yeah. So again, I got to play a little bit of Evoker, so it does feel a little bit different than I had initially thought. And I think it's interesting because there's a lot of mobility here for a caster class, and I'm not sure how much value an Evoker or any ranged character like a healer or a mage would have for their movement abilities. Like, how valuable are they?
So I'm going to tell you. First of all, it has been changed a little bit, but do you know what the average range for a healer is? 40 yards.
Yes, that makes sense.
The range for Evoker up until recently was 25 yards, so almost half.
Okay.
Then they got buffed to 30 yards, but they're still lower than every other healer.
Let me double check this here, because you're talking, so I know for example, Living Flame is kind of the bread and butter. 25-yard range. I never picked up on that.
Yeah, so that's like the big concern, is that there's such a short range healer.
Okay, so they might need to move around. So that
not only that,
one of their imposed there.
Mm-hmm. And one of their most important heals they have is like the fly with me ability, where they fly through and grab someone and heals them.
Yeah.
That's considered one of their top healing abilities they use.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. I think that's a fun idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think the movement for this class is exceptionally important.
I'm trying to find that. I'm sorry. I'm going to move over to the preservation side here. Fly with me. I know it's here somewhere.
I was going to say, actually, I think it's in the primary tree. Anyone can get it.
Really?
Yes, if I'm correct. Well, I might have it in my notes here if you'll give me a second. Rescue, fly. It's rescue. So it's like the second.
Yeah. That's what I was kind of looking at. Swoop to an ally and fly with them to the target location. So that doesn't have any healing considered with it.
Oh, that's funny. My notes say rescue, fly to an ally, and heal them for 430 spell power. Interesting. I wonder if things have changed a little bit.
So Verdant Embrace is fly to an ally and heal them.
So I bet you they changed it slightly, because I had rescue as the second thing on my notes too. So I think they probably swapped it a little. So Verdant, that's going to be, they've changed it a little, which is not a bad idea, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think that's good.
There's also Dreamflight, which is the capstone for preservation on the left side. So this is your green capstone.
It's deep breath for devastation, but for healing.
No. So you take in a deep breath and then you fly to the targeted location. You heal all allies in your path. So this is combining movement and healing. Like
deep breath. I think it's called deep breath. There's an ability devastation does where they fly over the field and like carpet bomb it. This is that, but healing.
Right.
So yeah, preservation gets that, the carpet bombing, which is fun.
Let's see, Firestorm. Let's see, Burnout. Where is this? Man, our knowledge is so
limited,
shallow right now.
Yeah, it's so limited on Evoker just because we don't know.
Yeah.
Hold on, Evoker. Google
help, please. Because I know the
deep breath. Taking a deep breath and fly to the targeted location, spewing molten cinders, dealing 230 of your spell powers.
Oh, here it is. It's a base.
It's base.
Okay, this is Black Dragonflight spell. Okay. Yes. Volcanic damage. That's so cool.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I mean, what is lava burst? It's fire damage, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. No volcanic damage for you, Shaman.
Well, they should probably change it now, right?
No, that's bullshit, dude. You're gonna have to bleep me out on some of this. I'm really sorry.
No, I'm not bleeping anybody out. Fuck that.
Wow. Okay. Anyways, so there was one thing in particular I really wanted to hit on in one of the trees, one of the capstones, that just was absolutely awesome. Terror of the Skies is a fun one. So it's on the left side.
Oh yeah, that's your deep breath stuns enemies for 3 seconds. That is fun.
So that was fun. I really like that. In the middle, you have Time Spiral.
Yeah. Which is
bend time allowing you and your allies to cast their major movement abilities once in the next 10 seconds, even if it's on cooldown.
Okay.
So, sorry, we both are getting over illness here.
Oh god, so annoying.
Yeah, it's really bad. But Mythic Plus, Druid tank with an Evoker healer. Think of all the Savage Roars you could have, man.
Oh yeah, Savage Roars.
That would be pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Like, that would be fun. But then the big one, the one I really want to hit on, is on the right side.
Your giant, leap or whatever it's called. Sorry.
Zephyr, dude.
Yeah, look at this.
All right. Conjure an updraft to lift the party into the air, reducing AoE damage taken by 20% and increasing movement speed. What is this ability, dude? This is the weirdest ability I've ever seen in the game, and I feel like
then you go 20 yards in the air. You're not like just hovering. You're up there.
Yeah, you're up there. You're up a little ways. So to me, I'm like, what is this ability? So there's a concern I have for it, which is when you're 20 yards in the air.
Yeah.
You still get hit by AoE.
Yeah.
So I feel like people are going to have a hard time seeing if they're in the AoE or not, other than them taking damage, obviously.
I mean, you're not going to be, taking a lot of damage from it.
Yeah, that's true. But there's that. So that was one concern I had for it. But this, changes the whole game. The way it works.
It's kind of weird, yeah.
It's very interesting. I don't think we've ever had
totally troll your fucking team with this.
Totally, just like with rescue or whatever that is. Fly with somebody, fly with me, and you just take them off the edge of the
to our dead.
Yeah. So I think the Evoker has some really cool abilities that have been added to it. I mean, that's going to be with any new class, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Demon Hunter came out, people were, whoa, High Beam, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, but also like Glide, for example.
But Glide.
That's something that's baseline for Evoker or for Dracthyr in general.
Yep.
Is that double jump with the hover, yeah.
And then, of course, their racial where they can just Dragonfly.
Soar, yeah.
So
you just take
cool.
off. It's really fun.
Anyways, my thoughts on this class, since I'm going to quote unquote be maining it.
Okay.
I gave him an S.
Okay.
It's so unique. It feels like they built the tree around this character rather than trying to fit things that didn't or things that have existed in the past into a tree and figure out what works. They literally we're doing a tree for this class. Let's make it look good. And it's like, I think it is a prime example of what you can do with talent trees.
Yeah.
But I'm also, please slow my roll if you need to, because it is a new class. It is a new class. So all the abilities are new, you know? So it has that shiny new car smell to it. And I need to make sure that I'm not overthinking this.
So I want to point out a couple weaknesses that I think potentially, but I mean, you did clue me into the 25-yard range thing. So it kind of answers my question, but reading all these talents, I started to notice a theme. There's a lot of mobility here. And I can't remember the last time you would be moving this that much as a caster. So to me, that means that if for example, maybe there are some raid fights, maybe there's some encounters that I don't know about yet that are very movement heavy. Or maybe Evoker is just one of those very mobile classes where you're constantly trying to dip in and out of combat. Or in and out of danger, I should say, within your combat. So, again, those talents could be playstyle or they could be mandatory. I'm not sure yet. But as it stands right now, I don't know, so I'm not going to put a whole lot of value in those points. And if you take it from that perspective, that the movement inherent in this class tree is not super necessary, then this becomes a whole lot weaker.
That's true.
Not very weak. I mean, there's a lot of
movement's always
here.
Good.
Movement's good, but it can be kind of hectic for a healer specifically, and I'm looking at it from a healer's perspective. And it can make things a little bit difficult if you're trying to target the wrong person. You know, like stuff could happen where you're like, you want to do Verdant Embrace, but you click on the wrong guy. You know, it's like, what the hell? Now I'm in danger, right? You fly to that person.
That's
so. And again, these are 25-yard ranges, so you're going to be moving around a lot, I think. But I don't know. I'm having a hard time seeing it. I ended up giving it an A.
Okay.
But that's pretty much where I stopped. That the lowest I would go is an A. You know, I could see an S or I could see an A. But
how about A plus? We'll put it ahead of Demon Hunter. How about that?
Yeah, is this ahead on the left? Okay,
left of
I agree with that. I would say A plus. It's very close to S.
I
have a couple that are very clearly S tiers.
Me too.
Okay.
So I will say I'm okay with an A plus because I will say, like I said, new shiny car, new smells. Yeah. Wow, that was not a sentence.
It could be a pain in the ass to move around and to use all these different movement abilities. Exactly. I don't know yet.
It's so hard for me to judge. And you less so, but kind of so, you know.
Yeah. All right, let's move it along here. We're going to go over to Hunter. Let's see. I think I liked the one of these pictures here. Yeah, marksmanship. There's the one. That's the one from Hearthstone.
Oh, that is from Hearthstone, isn't it?
Yeah. Excuse me. There's Rexar. What do you like here in the background? I like Illyria.
Yeah, let's do Illyria.
Okay.
All right, take it away.
No, go ahead. I got to get some more water, actually.
No, that's fine. Bring me a note.
I can. Please go ahead.
Okay, so there were a few things on this tree that I found lackluster. So personally, you might hate me on this one, but I was not a huge fan of the Hunter tree. It's actually one of the lower scoring ones for me. It didn't feel to me like it brought a lot of new things. But the one thing I have to concede is that this also feels like left side is Beastmaster, right side is Marksman, middle is Survival. It feels like one of those, but it is a very tight tree, which allows for everybody to dip into the other sides of the tree and do different things. Thank you, appreciate it.
Yes. And I heard what you were saying. Don't worry.
I have no doubt. I was yelling.
Oh shit! Sorry, guys.
Nah, yeah. Sorry about that spike. Derek was in the other room, so I had to make sure he knew what I was saying. Yeah, all right. But like, it felt kind of boring to me. For example, left side, their capstone is like improved kill command.
Yeah. Let me go over this. Oh boy, yeah, really breaking the bank.
Literally improving the like. Yeah, there it is.
There it is. Yeah. Wow, 10% damage. Holy shit.
Improving the ability that was the first one you got on the tree.
Yeah,
is it good?
You gotta start here and then go all the way here to get bonus damage for it. You'd think it would be like right here.
Or something,
you know?
Right? And so it felt kind of meh to me. On the middle side of things, the Arctic Bola was kind of cool. I thought that was kind of a neat capstone on the center tree.
Yeah.
I think it's on the left.
Let's see. Where'd it go?
Oh, is it gone now? Hold on, go to the very middle one.
Stampede, Death Chakram, you have Barrage, Explosive Shot.
Did they get...
Here's Arctic
there
Bola.
it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
Middle right.
Has a chance to fling an Arctic Bola at your target, dealing 20% attack damage, frost damage, and snaring the target. Then it can strike up to 2 targets.
Yes.
So I found that kind of interesting. I thought it was neat.
Can I just say, like, if I'm playing ranged on this character, I could see that being fucking annoying. I'm sorry. Like, I know it's like bonus damage, but if let's say we're trying to, I'm picturing Mythic Plus. We got a big pack. The tank is kiting them around, and you're randomly slowing them and fucking up the grouping for AOE.
On like two targets.
On like 2 targets, like a weird number of targets. I could see this being super annoying for some situation. Now that's just obviously pretty niche, but
yeah,
in general, it's fine. It's free damage. It's free snares. But again, you're not snaring when you want to, so you have no control over it. And it's not that much damage. It's 20% of your attack damage, of your attack power. It's just kind of...
I don't think I even realized that.
Let me build this out. Let me see what the second point is. Let me come up here. I'm just going to throw together a build here just so I can get down the tree. Yada, yada, yada. Blah, blah, blah. Boom, boom. Get some points. Spend some points. Everyone likes points, 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 points. Okay, what does the 2 do? Snaring the target by 100% for 3 seconds. So it just snares them. And it strikes up to 4 targets. So this gets even more annoying when you're trying to group.
Too. When you have a big pull and the tank's trying to kite because he's got too many necrotic stacks. Although necrotic is going away.
Yeah, so necrotic's going away.
That's no longer a problem.
So the grouping is going to be bad for AoE.
Right.
And they're snared, and it's 4 targets that are snared for 3 seconds. And it's random. You have no control over it. I would love for this to be like a 15-second cooldown, and it applies on your next, Cobra Shot, Aim Shot, Mongoose Bite.
Yeah, I think actually I didn't realize that it was 2 procs per minute. I thought it was an active ability until I'm gonna say
it would be
until
so
like
much
2
better
seconds.
as an active ability.
That's the thing. So I thought it was active. So you're right. I agree that the randomness of it makes me nervous. Death Chakra. Can we hit that one up a little bit?
Yeah, this one looks sick actually.
Yes. So I really liked it. We all know what Stampede is. It's lame. Well, it's not lame. But
it's a little lame.
It's a little lame. We've seen that one before. But throw a Deadly Chakram at your current target that will rapidly deal 31.6% of attack power over 7 times, bouncing to other targets if they are nearby. Enemy struck take 10% more damage from you for 10 seconds. Each time the Chakram deals damage, its damage is increased by 15% and you generate 3 focus.
Can I just say, like, generating focus is huge.
I was going to say, Beast, especially in Beastmaster, which is the one hunter I have.
Yeah, and I play Survival, but I've played Marksmanship before. Constantly, I'm just like, wait,
why do I have enough focus?
Yeah. Oh my god, it's so annoying.
I saw this and was like, oh my gosh, is that the fix to the focus issue I've been having?
I mean, it's a 45-second cooldown, but it's nice for your burst window because you're going to be able to get just that much more focus out of your damage. Absolutely. Super good.
So I thought that one was really good. The Serpent Sting build on the right.
Let's see, because this I believe this leads to a current legendary power, the Poison Injection, which is very powerful for marksmen. So it basically buffs your, and I'm just going to assume that it's marksman, so we're talking about aim shot. Serpent Sting's damage applies latent poison to the target, stacking up to 10 times. And then when you Mongoose Bite, you're consuming all of that. So you're kind of melee weaving at this point. So I wonder if maybe now this is more of a survival power. Because if you're going to Raptor Strike up to 10 times and then Mongoose Bite, that's a huge burst right there. That's a big, something to stack to, something to look forward to.
But I will say, I found this tree in general.
Yeah. Well, actually, we've been talking for a little bit. Let me give you my general thoughts on this. Let's see. Hunter. Got it right here. Okay, ultimately, a very flexible tree that is reduced in power by how many weak talents with multiple points are required to move down the tree. So it's bottom heavy in terms of power, but it's top heavy in terms of points. And I mean, this could have been changed a little bit, but look at all these 2-pointers up here. You have 4 2-pointers in the top that basically do, nothing, or give you a very slight,
Well, sir, my 3% movement speed is extremely important.
Well, like Mend Pet, it's like, okay, great. Why am I putting 2 points into Mend Pet so I can get down here to Trank Shot? It's like, obviously you could come over, you could get counter shot, blah, 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 but you're spending all of these points up here when all the cool abilities are down here and there's too many of them.
Okay, so does it feel to you like they put lines on a wall and put gum on the back of these talent abilities and threw them at the wall to see where they landed, with the exception of the bottom portion, because that does feel very powerful. But the rest of it feels so...
Dude, I'm sorry. I got a moment here.
Okay, that's fine.
Sentinel, dude. What the hell is Sentinel?
Yeah, we still don't know what it is.
No, we do. And it's somewhere in here, I think. I remember reading it and absolutely losing my shit because of how bad it was. It basically, you put a mark on a target, I think, and it gives you... It makes it so you can't be line of sight from that target.
That was a... wasn't that the Ardent Weld ability, basically?
No, the Ardent Weld ability is way better.
Well, yeah, but that's the idea, is that you can't be line of sighted anymore.
I thought that was the Kyrian one, but...
Okay, maybe it's Kyrian, but...
Bro, I mean, I lost my mind in Sentinel. I have no... my mind just went blank. I'm like, why would you ever pick Sentinel and then let alone... look at this.
Your Sentinel watches over the target area for 18 seconds.
Targeted area.
Applying Hunter's Mark to all enemies within it for 6
What does Hunter's Mark do?
Deals extra damage.
I don't think so. I think it got changed. What does Hunter's Mark do? Let me look.
Wow. Hunter's
Mark, here it is. Causing the target to always be seen and tracked by the hunter.
Oh.
That's all it does. It just makes it so you have X-ray vision. So you target an area and you have X-ray vision through the wall. Great.
So it's PvP.
You still get LOS. You just can't. You can see them.
Oh, does Sentinel not allow you to target them?
I mean, it's like, this is so...
Oh, you're right. It doesn't.
I'm sorry. It's terrible. It doesn't give you LOS immunity. So you're still like... I got nothing, man.
I mean, I feel like there's got to be something
so
that
somebody
buffs
can't
Hunter Mark.
sit behind a wall and eat in an arena. That's the only time I could see Sentinel being used. It's mind-blowing how bad that is. Thankfully, it's off all the way to the right side, so no one has a chance of accidentally taking it. I'm sorry, it's fucking god-awful.
So, what do you think?
I give it a D.
D. Oh, look at us. Yeah, I was there too. I was like, this is my lowest ranking.
It could be way better.
Yeah, I was not happy.
You know what? Actually, I'm sorry. I actually gave it a C-.
Oh, really?
So, it's fine, but it could be way better. And again, a lot of my gripes are in the top 2 tiers.
Well, that's exactly
a lot of these random fucking abilities.
It's hodgepodge,
and it's so
there's nothing there that makes me feel like.
Okay, but consider this, right? Hunter, as a class, has a pretty strong identity. It's melee, it's range physical. There's one melee spec, but you could see a lot of overlap between, beast mastery, marksmanship, and survival. There's a lot of overlap, which is why a lot of these talents are kind of, basically they're buffing the abilities that all 3 specs have in common.
Right.
Makes sense from that perspective when you think about a class tree. Okay. The entire class has all these abilities, and they're all going to benefit, yada yada. But if you go and you look at, and I hate to spoil it, but Rogue, right? Rogue is a talent, is a class that has 3 melee DPS specs, okay? Very focused. But it still manages to have a class tree with identity and with power, okay? This is just niche, like, traps and just garbage, like Sentinel. Pathfinding is fine. It's 6% movement speed, but it's 2 points. You know, like, I would rather have it be 1 point and be 4% movement speed or 3% movement speed.
Well,
don't make me take 2 points. You know what I mean? Like, it's so many points just to put in there just to go down to Master Marksman, because God knows I'm not taking fucking Sentinel.
Well, you only need 1 point in it, right, to be able to go.
No,
down. You have to
fill it. Yeah, look, if I take this out. Oh wait! Oh my God!
Well, no. You had this. Hold on. Get rid of that.
Oh, that's true. That's
true. Get rid of that.
Okay, yeah. See,
hold on.
if I don't have
click
camouflage.
one more thing somewhere else.
Okay.
Click that, and now click there.
Okay, yeah. No, you have to have 2 out of 2. See,
you're right. I didn't know that.
So you have to spend 2 points in Pathfinder.
You need 2 points in Pathfinder.
Or take Sentinel. I mean, you could even take Camouflage, but even then, I don't think Camouflage is that useful. Right? Camouflage is fine.
So okay, this.
2% of max health every second.
If there's one thing, okay, I'll give you the C, and I'll tell you why. If there's one thing that the hunters always have, it's identity.
It's a strong C-. But
like the idea of like camouflaging 2 shrouds.
Sure.
Okay,
yeah.
they have like an identity. They have this like, I have this image of what a WoW hunter is in my mind.
But it still pisses me off when they put a talent as powerful as Master Marksman behind 2 suboptimal,
Dude,
niche,
I did not realize you needed to get all the. I thought you only had to have 1 in it. I've played this game since Burning Crusade. I've had talent points in the past.
Yeah, no, you got to fill it up to go down, man.
Dude, that makes me want to die.
Yeah, so, I mean, you see what I'm saying? It's bottom heavy.
It is.
Which is great if there wasn't so much fucking garbage up top. So, anyway.
I will say, like, leveling as a hunter is going to feel real bad.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, great, I got another talent point. Can't wait to run 3% faster.
Yeah, exactly. Let me reset this, and let's pretend that we're a survival hunter coming out of here. Actually, let me just change it to... Oh, come on, survival. You start with kill command. I was going to say, if you started with concussive shot of survival, your next talent point is, boy, Trailblazer or post haste. God, I can't wait. Wow, so exciting. Anyway, C-.
C-, yep. Let's
go to Mage. Who do we want to look at for Mage? I kind of like the arcane person.
That's fine.
Fire's cool. She's awesome. Frost is this grizzled old, guy. He's just like, I don't like the cut of your jib. I kind of like him.
Yeah, he kind of like. If you were a mage, that's what you would look like.
No. I was going to say he's an older you.
He is an older.
He's got your hair.
He's got my hair.
He's got your facial hair.
Well, actually, he does look like an older me. That's weird.
He's got thicker eyebrows.
Fuck, am I a mage main now?
Frost mage.
Specifically a frost. Actually, that is my mage is a frost mage. Actually,
let's talk about it. What do you got for mage?
Okay, mage. Okay, so one thing really quick with the talent tree that I thought was really cool and unique is that they all start with the same ability.
Yes.
But it changes depending on your spec.
Correct.
Which is really cool. I thought that was a neat flavor thing.
Let's talk about that real quick, because we can pull this up. So Prismatic Barrier, this is really cool. The duration of harmful magic effects can be reduced by 25%. And you take 15% less magic damage. So Arcane this is their barrier, right?
Gotcha.
So it has those 2 passives. Let's look at Fire. You get Blazing Barrier. So if you take the Molten Skin, then you get physical damage reduction. Stop it.
No.
And then melee attacks against you cause the attacker to take fire damage, which is fine. Free damage if you're getting meleeed.
Yep.
I don't see that happening very often, but still, it's fine. It's part of the identity.
It's a thing, yeah.
And then Ice Barrier is just straight up absorbing damage based off of your versatility. Increasing your armor if you take Glacial Insulation, and melee attacks against you reduce the attacker's movement speed by 50%. Very identity heavy, and I like that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I think that's really cool. That was a very strong start in this in these builds. I will say from here on out, it just goes down. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I really like the mage trees. I think they're really good. I was about to offend you, wasn't I?
I think the Mage tree is one of the worst classes.
Really? Okay, this is gonna be the first tree I think we disagree on.
Because I played Mage, and I play a lot of Mage this expansion. So going into this as an Arcane Mage, like this was just garbage.
Really? Well, let me look at my notes here. See why I gave it to my. Okay, I liked the Anomaly Time Warp in the bottom middle capstone.
Yeah, no, this is great. And I mean, it's a capstone for Arcane currently, which is fine.
Yep. So I thought that was a lot of fun.
Again, nothing new, nothing we didn't already have access to.
Yep. And then Meteor is going to be one of the right ones, which is...
For fire, yeah.
I mean,
Meteor's going to be
come on,
mandatory.
Meteor is a lot of fun, right?
Well, let's talk about that too, because we have Blast Wave, Dragon's Breath, and Meteor are all here on the right side. So essentially, I mean, you could take an Arcane Mage and come down here
into Meteor. That's what I thought was really cool.
I don't know why the fuck you would. It's terrible.
I mean, it's the same problem that I had with the DK tree, right?
Sure.
Where it's like, you could be an Unholy Blood DK.
But I could see all 3 specs taking Abomination Limb. You know what I mean? Like, that's great for a cast.
That's true. I would agree with that.
So, anyway, go ahead.
Ultimately, at the end, I noticed the left tree felt very Frost PvE, or I'm sorry, PvP focused.
Yep.
The middle tree was the time tree, right? Time dilation, using the timey-wimey stuff, right? Bringing a little Doctor Who into our thing.
Yeah.
And the right tree was time and frost, kind of a time frost, or I'm sorry, fire and time and fire. I can't. Dude, I forgot my glasses at home and I can't fucking read. Time and fire. So I thought it was a good build. I felt the whole tree made sense. One of my biggest things, I always thought if they added like a time spec to Mage, which is another reason why I want to play Evoker really bad, because there is time stuff there.
Yeah, there's the bronze healing tree.
Right. I always thought that would be one of the coolest things ever. So I got a little bit of those rose-tinted glasses on because there's like a timey-wimey slot I could go with.
I always thought Time Mage was an interesting concept, but yeah, I mean, if you think that this tree is great, I have some bad news for you.
You're wrong.
There's a lot of garbage in here, and I'll just start by saying, look at all these 2 pointers in the middle. Now, granted, they're not mandatory. Look, you can come down either side, okay? Pick up this guy, and then you can get your Rune of Power, and then you're fine. You're out of tier 1.
Right.
But look what I did. I didn't take a single one of those 2-pointer talents. And you know what I won't do? Regret that decision. The cooldown of Ice Block reduced by 20 seconds. You might take that if you're Frost PvP. Tempest Barrier. Who gives a shit? After you blink 3%, maybe 6% health? Great. Invisibility increases your movement speed. Wow. Who gives a shit?
Actually, it's an increase on invisibility, which you already have from the one above. So technically, it's actually just a movement increase on invisibility.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And you would take invisibility because that's a great spell.
Yep.
I don't really care about moving afterwards. So tier 1, half of it's garbage. Tier 2, most of it's garbage. So when inside your Ice Block, this Cryo Freeze, really good. I like that power.
It's May, dude. It's Overwatch.
It's a May Overwatch power. Mass Polymorph, super good.
Super
Take it
good.
slow, super cool. I don't see much else in here that I want.
Timey-wimey, though. Look at that.
Yeah, but I mean, this is like altered time. It's fine. That's like your avoid death thing if you know it's coming.
Like the altered time is cool.
Resets the cooldown of blink. It's like, okay, but why do I need a blink, whatever. You get a little bit of leech here, 20% of the damage absorbed. So you have to take damage for that to be a thing.
It's good for leveling, but that's not a great example because WoW is endgame. So
these 2, Tome of Antonidas and Tome of Ronin, great. Let's get those. Okay, which means we're going to take either Shimmer or Ice Flows.
Ice Flows.
Nope, wrong. Shimmer. Every time.
I just like why it's spelled FLOES. I don't know if that's intentional.
No, that's correct for glacial flows. Okay. That's the correct spelling.
I hate that.
Shimmer's great for when you're casting. Then you're gonna pop a Shimmer like to avoid an AoE without dropping your spell cast. I don't know. Ring of Frost is like that's hard to isn't that kind of hard to hit?
Yeah.
Ice Nova.
Ring of Frost is a trap.
Man, I don't know. Like the Frost build here on the left is a lot more cohesive than the Fire stuff on the right. But again, this Fire one, improved Blast Wave. It's like, okay, increase the knockback. Whoop-de-doo. When your barrier receives a melee attack, when the fuck is that going to happen? Obviously sometimes, but it's not great. Frost Nova, withstanding 80% more damage. Whatever. Take it or leave it. Or put it in the frost tree. I don't give a fuck. Frigid winds. All of your snare effects reduce the movement speed by 5 to 10%. That's a 2-point tree, dude. That's 2 points. Flow of time. The cooldown of blink reduce. Blink is already like an 8-second cooldown, you know, or like, what is it, 15 seconds? Where's blink? I want to get the exact number so we can know what we're talking about. Blink is a 15-second cooldown, which means with 2 points in tier 3, it becomes a 13-second cooldown. How cool is that, guys? Don't you want to spend 2 talent points on that? Temporal velocity, increase your movement speed after casting blink and after returning from altar time. Again, whoop-de-doo. 2 points?
Guys, Derek is mad.
I'm sorry. This is the only tree that I gave an F, if I could.
So D.
It's a D, yeah. I mean, Frost Nova having 2 charges is fine. Freezing Cold is actually good. Frozen in place by Cone of Cold, that's great, but it's all the way down here. You know, like, in this stuff we already have.
I didn't rate this one lower than Hunter. Sorry.
Meteor, I mean, Dragons, it's fine. But again, there's not a lot of overlap. There's a lot of 2-point talents that are complete garbage. And you have good talents that are locked behind shitty 2-pointers.
Okay,
I'm playing a mage, man, and I'm reading this, and I'm just like, why? I'm never gonna use this. Like the way I play mage, I'm never gonna use or get value out of most of these talent points that we have.
All right, that's fair. Let's look at the tier list. Can we put it?
It goes here.
No, in between Druid and Hunter. I think Hunter is the worst. Can we do that?
I honestly think
Hunter's
these are
D?
about the same.
Let's put them both in D. Fuck.
All right. Yes,
sorry,
I'm
you guys suck.
Yeah, sorry. All right, moving on. Monk.
All right.
Now,
I will
look,
say I don't feel Hunter and Druid are on the same tree, so I
That's
actually
true.
agree with that drop.
but also the spec trees for mage are amazing.
Are they? So you think it'll?
They're all amazing.
Okay, cool.
All 3 mage specs.
I didn't
are
look
amazing.
at the mage
The class tree
specs.
is what I have a problem with. It's just a little wimpy. Okay, and by a little, I mean a lot.
And this is a good time to reiterate that we are looking at just the class trees, and this is not an indication of how strong they're going to be next expansion. This is just how we like the class trees.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay.
All right, moving on to Monk. What do you got for Monk?
All right, Mike. I want you to start this one.
Okay, let's get it. We got the panda here. Oh, I like this guy. This guy looks cool.
He does.
He knows what the hell he's doing. That's a Mistweaver Monk there. Brewmaster. Ooh.
That's a Hearthstone card. I know that one.
Yeah.
He returns a minion to your hand.
That's right. He's the battle cry guy.
Yep.
Okay.
What was the last one? Sorry, I didn't see it.
Oh, it's your martial arts practitioner.
Now go back to it.
It's a little strange looking. Yeah, you can see like it's just a lot of.
I like how the monks are all pandas.
Yeah, because they're all pandas.
There isn't a single. There isn't a monk. It's like Evoker. You know, it's like Evoker and
Only
Dragonflight.
Pandaren can be monks, right, guys?
Yeah, right. Like and subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Yeah. What do you got for monk?
No, you first.
Me
This one's
first?
yours. Yeah,
Oh,
this
God.
one's yours.
Okay, let me pull up my notes again. I gotta go back on my phone and pull up my notes. Oh my god.
Okay, I'll start.
No, I got it.
Okay.
I got it. Monk. Okay. So, I will say that as you know, a Mistweaver monk probably isn't gonna like this class tree as much as Windwalker or Brewmaster.
Yep.
But
Agreed.
I still thought there are a lot of strong choices that make each monk build feel unique and makes monk feel unique to other classes. There might not be very much flexibility. Like if you're a Mistweaver monk, I could see you taking one Mistweaver build out of this. If you're a Brewmaster monk, I could see you taking one, emphasis on one. You know, like I just don't see a lot of variability in the builds, but it feels focused and it feels powerful. And I actually have monk rated pretty highly. And again, there's this overlap where you have the let's see, where does Brewmaster start on here? That's kind of where I want to know. Okay, so they start with Tiger's Lust. That's fine. So I could see, and again, this is where we saw with other classes where the PvP talents were sort of in the middle, which makes PvP healing as a monk a little bit harder because you have to come all the way over here to get some of these PvP talents. And I know a lot of monks are going to complain about this. Spearhand Strike, this is your interrupt, right? That's a talent on the far right side. That's kind of annoying.
You are hitting on exactly the problem. This is the tree I was talking about earlier when I said I don't like the way they placed it.
I feel like they would be a lot better off
if the tank was in the middle.
Tank was in the middle. Yep.
Thank you. That was my biggest gripe with this tree.
You see how much value you get out of that when you look at the Death Knight tree.
Exactly.
So you're disabled. This is your snare, far right. Okay. Again, you're going to take Tiger's Lust probably as a Mistweaver monk regardless, right? You're probably going to come over here and get paralysis. And then you'll come down here and take Spear Hand Strike. But again, it
feels so far down.
Feels far away. You're going to take Detox.
Now I will say the top of the tree feels very open. Okay,
yes.
to give it a little leeway, it does feel very open, and it doesn't feel like if you're a Mistweaver, it would be that hard to get to Spear Hand Strike. Like you could do it.
I just did it.
Yeah.
As a Mistweaver, if I'm coming in with Soothing Mist, maybe I would take these talents here, but let's say I'm building out a PvP monk, PvP healer. Right? I might not even take this. Reduces all damage taken while channeling. I don't think you're going to be channeling Soothing Mists when you're in PvP. You're running the risk of getting interrupted. Like some of these are just great though, Let's see. Ring of Peace, you're going to want that. So you're going to take Transcendence. Diffuse Magic, that's great. Dampen Harm is great. These are great defensive things that are good for healers in the middle.
Right. Well, let's talk about the capstones.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
So this is something I found fun. Yay! Flavorful.
Oh, they each get to summon a statue.
They each get to summon a statue. And it depends on what you want from that statue as to what it is, which gives flexibility. Mm-hmm. This is a tree where I don't feel you are required. Like with the Death Knight one, I felt you were required if you're going on Holy to go down that right side. This one doesn't feel quite as strict and rigid.
Right.
So what do you think?
I rated this really highly, and that's because I feel like any build, and you can see it is a very open, build path here. I still have 2 points I can put into one of these. Let's see. Yeah, perfect. So this would be like a PvP Mistwalker build. It wasn't that hard to build. Now you're gonna miss out on some of these talents over here, which you could, maybe you don't need Jade Serpent Statue. But I could see there being like one build for each role. And that would be like PvE healing has one build, PvP healing has one build. There's not a lot of situational, there's not a lot of different options that you're gonna take. But it's very straightforward, and every talent point you spend is gonna be powerful and it's gonna be wanted. Now, this is almost the same situation as Druid, where you have a lot of these squares, and some of these are like mandatory talents where you're just gonna wanna take them. But there's just not that many. And I think you have enough flexibility where you can say, okay, well, I don't really need this or that, so I can just go around it. I rated this really high. I gave this an A. I mean, what do you think?
I give it a B.
Okay.
I put it right behind Death Knight. And the reason
That's fair. I could see it going beneath Death Knight. Yeah.
So the reason was it felt very much like Death Knight, where there was below Death Knight, so other way around.
Well, I put it as an A, so let's split the difference.
We'll meet in the middle. I agree with that.
But I can see what you're saying, though, with the tank being in the middle.
That was my biggest gripe. Maybe
it goes right here. But again, it's not a lot to cross over.
But that was the thing with it is pretty easy to flip-flop around on this one versus some of the other ones.
And I mean, Calming Presence being 1 point and right up top, giving you access to Detox, you're going to take Tiger's Lust. Like, these are, you spend 2 points and then boom, you're on the right side of the tree.
I'm willing to put it above DK. I'm willing to put it above DK.
I think they're pretty similar, though, in power.
That's how it felt for me, too.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I feel like we're pretty good on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I like the flavor of the capstones. It makes it very clear, like, what direction you're going to go. And I feel like every point you spend is going to be pretty well spent. And for a class tree, what else can you really ask for other than, what we're going to get up to, which is to be completely fucking overpowered based on your class tree. But we'll keep moving. So up next is Paladin. We both play a lot of Paladin.
We do both play a lot of Paladin.
Get the nice Draenei. The weird looking dwarf. I don't like the perspective on that. It feels a little bit off. The red. Oh, that he's very handsome.
I think we go with the holy one, dude.
You want the Draenei? Well, you play a Draenei.
Look at that guy. He's got that hot hentai beard going on.
His eyes are closed, right? Can we agree on that? He's like basking in the light. He's like,
yes.
Oh.
I thought his eyes were open at first, but yes, I think you're right.
No, they're definitely closed. All right, go ahead, man. Lead us off. He's a paladin main.
Okay, so as a paladin main, the left side of the tree is your healing defensive route. The middle tree is your, I called it the Avenging Wrath build.
Yes.
And then the right is going to be your deeps build. So much deeps, all the deeps on the right side.
All the damages.
All of them. So, I know we're not talking specs here, but there's something interesting because initially when I look,
I will say though, you look at this tree and you start, especially if you have as much experience with paladins, you and I, you can start to see a build jump out at you the further you go down, and it really just, you start to see the synergies, especially when you go down looking in the class trees. You're like, oh my god, I remember putting that point in Avenging Wrath, so now I can make an Avenging Wrath build, and it just flows and it synergizes so well between the class and the spec tree.
So I looked at the spec tree, and the one gripe I had about the paladin tree got answered by the prot tree. And it was, why the fuck would you not take Avenging Wrath?
Right.
That is a staple.
Right.
However, there is a really cool ability in the prot tree.
Okay. Let's look at
it. It's really neat.
All right, where is it?
Try clicking, try that. No, this one above. Sentinel.
Okay, Sentinel.
Call upon the light and gain 15 stacks of Divine Resolve, increasing your maximum health by 2% and reducing your damage taken by 2% per stack for 20 seconds.
Okay.
After 5 seconds, you will begin to lose 1 stack per second, but each 3 holy power will delay the loss of your stack by 1 second.
Okay.
So I all of a sudden realized they have a build in prot that allows you to forego Avenging Wrath if you wanted to.
Yeah, so you would take Sentinel instead.
You could take Sentinel instead.
Yeah.
And so when I was going through it, I really liked, so go back up to the class tree if you would. The left side is all about that healing and defense.
Dragonflight Man.
Yeah, Dragonflight Man. Is all about that healing. If I'm correct, let's see. They have the golden path, which is where you're standing your...
Yep.
That's funny you heard that. That's actually a conduit, if I'm correct.
Yes, it is.
By name and everything. And then the capstone is Dusk and Dawn, which I've always liked a little higher than that, I think. Of Dusk and Dawn.
Here we go.
This was a legendary.
Oh, yeah.
I always really liked this because I like the idea.
I would take this all the time in Torghast.
Yes. I think it's a really... Paladin is a class that really allows you to express skill. Mm-hmm. It has a low skill floor and a high skill ceiling.
Yeah.
And so it allows you to express. And I think Of Dusk and Dawn is one that really allows you to express.
Yeah, especially if you're working with it and your playstyle goes towards it. Because, I mean, being a builder-spender class as it is with Holy Power, if you're shooting for this and you're planning around it, you can keep these 2 buffs up indefinitely.
Right.
So, and again, damage healing and damage taken. I mean, this is, all 3 specs have a reason to take up Dusk and Dawn, I think.
Yes. Another thing, middle tree, Judgment. Can we talk about Judgment? Can you find that? Greater Judgment. Did they remove it from here? I really hope they did.
Well, yeah, because I think that was an error. And I think that was an error with how they represented it on the website. So, again, but again... I've noticed this with the Shaman tree, and I know what you're talking about. Judgment being on a talent implies that you could go without it. But the way it works now is that if you were to spec, let's pull up Rhett for a second, and I know Healing Stream Totem does the same thing. If you take Judgment, or in the Shaman's case, Healing Stream Totem, you gain another charge.
Which is good.
Yes.
And I'm okay with
so
that.
in that case, you would gain another charge of Judgment, which is how it worked before. But yeah, sorry, go ahead. I kind of preempted your point.
No, you're good. So originally Judgment was on here as something you had to click to have Judgment. I was like, Judgment is your level 1 ability.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, I think that was just an error with the trees, but it really was concerning.
It was very concerning.
I understand that.
And then, let's see, the bottom, Blessing of Spell Warding was kind of cool for the, if I'm correct, or Seraphim, I'm sorry. Seraphim.
Where's the because I know it's on here, I think. Blessing spell warding, where are you?
I had it in the middle tree.
I did as well.
I think they've changed it. Which is okay.
Maybe it's in prod.
Possibly. But you end in Seraphine or Sanctified Wrath, which are both... I mean, Sanctified Wrath is the go-to prot talent right now.
Mm-hmm.
The final one. It's just very, very strong. But it's cool that you can do it with any of them now. I think that's a fantastic...
Hold on a light and become an Avatar of Retribution for 20 seconds, reducing Holy Shucks cooldown. I can't see the whole text.
Yeah, but it depends on which one. Yeah, you're good.
This was my gripe with it. Was Divine Steed, and its two improvements are required for Avenging Wrath. That kind of pissed me off a little bit. I was like, really? What if I don't like Divine Steed? I mean, I know it's like your only movement thing, but it feels weird to have that be like. And again, you have these two kind of lackluster. Okay, 2 charges. All right, Seal of Templar or Seasoned Warhorse lasts 1 second longer. Whoop-de-doo. But then you get Avenging Wrath out of it. So that to me felt a little bit like you're hiding a mandatory, I would say, a very, very strong talent behind 2 very weak talents. Or potentially just 1 weak talent. Like if you were to just take that.
Yeah. So I will say Avenging Wrath being in the center, like literally the center of the tree. It doesn't get much more center than where it is.
Right.
Is good because everyone can dip into it easily.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you're being punished by going right or left. So I think that was good.
Oh, here's Blessing Spell Warding.
So Blessing and Spell Warding, very strong. It is an ability that has been proven to make certain raid encounters easy when they aren't supposed to be.
Right.
So it's a very strong...
You basically just bubble a party member, right?
And it's nice that everybody has it. You know, it's very nice.
You can just take it,
cool. But yeah, and then that right ends in Mad Paragon, which is, again, deeps, you know? It's like, how much damage can I do? Damage. So, I mean, the right side of the tree feels a little boring, to be honest, because it's just damage.
Whoops. Sorry, I'm just moving that slightly.
I'm spiking a little, sorry. The right side is just damage.
You're excited about Paladin. I can feel it.
I am. Right side is just damage. Feels a little boring, but the left and the middle seem very nice to me.
Yeah, they seem fine. Like, let's see. If I wanted to do... You know what? I'm just going to move on. Let's just grade it.
Okay. So, when I graded Paladin, out of the trees that I've gone through, I voted it an A+. So I put it right below Evoker, actually.
Yeah.
I really like the tree. I think it's really good. I cheated a little by knowing that the specs have certain things that are interesting and helped it abate what I had a little bit. But yeah, so that's where I voted.
I also had it as an A, just as I would say like an A- type of thing. Because again, I was a little bit underwhelmed by some of the top level talents. And the weaker stuff is at the top, but that makes sense. But the whole Divine Steed Avenging Wrath thing really threw me off at the beginning. I was kind of annoyed by that. So I might have over penalized the class tree in general because of that. But I think you're right. I think it's an A. I think it's really solid.
Now, one thing I want to point out though, right now, every spec of Paladin is extremely underperforming.
Yes, but that's just a numbers thing. Like
it's
you
just
were
a
saying
numbers
at the very
thing.
beginning.
So I think
the numbers will
numbers
be adjusted.
And one change they made, which gutted Prop Paladin, which is that Avenger's Shield no longer gives holy power. And so they're struggling with holy power generation currently.
Okay.
Which is really unfortunate. So I'm not saying Paladin is A. I'm saying their tree is an A.
Yeah, the class tree.
What they need to do is give... I don't know why they took it away. I don't know why they did that. It kind of... Yeah, I'm a little pissed off by it. It kind of pisses me off. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that being kind of frustrating for sure.
So, yeah. So, otherwise, A, I think where you put it is perfect. So, yep, let's move on now.
Okay, so we'll go over to Priest. And let's see. Who do we like here? Ooh, look at the Shadow Priest. She's cool. Wow, she's got bad thoughts.
Bad bitch energy going.
I like the Discipline Priest, but she feels a little bit like, oh my god, everyone's dying.
Yes,
help.
The Discipline
I'm
Priest.
sorry, that's holy.
Or the Holy Priest definitely
the
looks
Discipline
like...
Priest is very much like, yes, everyone's dying, and I planned for this.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Shadow one or the Discipline one.
I like this guy, the male dwarf priest with the wings.
The holy one is really funny to me.
That's a rare look, but yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a beautiful piece of artwork. It looks great.
She looks scared.
Yeah, just the look on her face. She looks a little scared. I wish she was a little bit more confident.
Oh man, I wish the light could help me now. Like
it's just like, oh my god, they pulled too many.
Yeah.
No, this is the face of like, oh my god, he just ran in.
Yeah. Stick to the plan. Yeah. Stick to the plan.
Stick to the plan face.
All right, cool.
Oh man,
tell me about the priest tree.
All right, let's go. So this is a great example again, like the Death Knight, where you have each of these trees like left and right side. Left side is holy, right side is shadow. So it makes sense that discipline is in the middle because it is literally a blending of shadow and light, and yes. I love that because you're going to have overlap between both trees. Some shadow players are going to take discipline talents in the middle because it's going to improve their damage. Some holy priests are going to take discipline talents in the middle because it's going to increase their healing. Mm-hmm. And discipline gets to choose the best of the bunch. They get to go to either side depending on what their role is. And that's exactly how discipline is. That's the appeal of it, is that you can play either side. I think this is a brilliant class tree as far as like just showing, okay, you have a class that is, all three specs are ranged casters. Okay, they have that core identity. But you have the one damage dealer, and then you have a hybrid, and then you have a healer specialization. And it's so cool that they blended it this way, and that all the overlap is in the middle, and that's where discipline starts out. I think that you can even just look at it here. There's a lot of talents, and a lot of them are one-pointers, right?
Yep.
So they're going to be easy to pick and choose, and easy to customize as you move down, and then you start getting these powerful two-pointers in here. I mean, 5, yeah, this is the only one I didn't really like, the cooldown of Fade. It's like, okay, whatever. I don't care about Fade. But if you make it a 10% damage cooldown, it's like, okay, now I have a reason to use Fade beyond what its initial cast is. So even this being 2 points, okay, it now becomes a damage reduction cooldown. So you're getting a lot of use out of it. I think that the capstones, you have Mind Games, very popular shadow talent. Void Shift, Angelic Bulwark, Power Word Life is going to be awesome. That's almost a game changer. I think that's new.
Which one?
I think Power Word Life is new.
I think so too.
Because
I'm not 100% sure. I have very minimal.
Yeah, no, I played some priests. I haven't played Holy as much, but I play Discipline. And yeah, I think this is new. It heals for 400% more.
Yeah.
And its cooldown is reduced if you use it on a target with less than 35% health. So this is definitely an oh shit button. But it's only a 30-second cooldown. And which means that you can use it again in 10 seconds if you cast it while they're low health. That is a super cool ability. And especially if your tank is struggling, boy, you are going to be their best friend.
Can we also talk about on the left side, Rhapsody?
Let's see, Rhapsody. Let's take a look where it is. Oh yeah, so this is a Holy Nova improvement. Let's see. For every 5 seconds you don't cast it, increase the damage of your next Holy Nova by 10%, and it's healing by 20%. Holy shit, it fixes Holy Nova.
Yeah, so not only that, it can stack up to 20 times. So you can have, and it's
400% healing on
400% healing and a 200% damage on Holy Nova.
Oh, it's brilliant.
I think it's really cool.
Holy Nova is already pretty weak, baseline, but wow, this is so nice for, and again, I would put this in like kind of a raid or a Mythic Plus versus like a PvP environment, but boy, you now have a reason to hit that button.
So the left side also has Mass Dispel, very important button.
Yes, a little hard for Shadow to get to, but again, it's only. Let's see, you take Psychic Voice, you would take Angelic Feather, I guess. You might take Leap of Faith, and that would get you to Mass Dispel. I don't know if Shadow players can be thrilled about these two talents.
Right.
But they're going to want to go over here for this.
Every Shadow player wants to jump off the edge and yank someone with them. They are 100% going to grab Leap of Faith. What are you talking about? Every priest is going to grab Leap of Faith.
Shadow Priest is going to 1v9 the fucking lobby.
So in the left tree, there's also Unwavering Will. Can I just talk about grammatical issues?
Yes.
So while above 75% health, the cast time of your blah, 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 blah is reduced by 5%.
Yeah.
What's unwavering about that? Isn't unwavering when you're facing adversity, you're fine? So it should be when you're below 75% health, just because the name doesn't make sense.
It's again, let's go back to this holy image here. This is unwavering will. This is like, it's like, oh no, I've just been reduced below 75% health. Oh shit.
I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me, but that was just more of a grammatical thing.
Yeah, that is kind of funny.
Power Word Life I really liked.
Yep.
Divine Star.
I love Divine Star. That's a very fun spell.
That's Anduin and Hots, dude. I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And then Angelic Bulwark. When an attack really brings you below 30% gain when absorbed. So that's a PvP.
Well, I can also see that being a raid,
you get hit by big.
Sure, yeah, big raid damage. It keeps you alive a little bit longer.
It also makes it so you can heal other people.
It's that cheat death mechanic, which is fine.
I just feel like in a raid scenario, you would rather take the far left one over that. That's where I come down to. I'm if you had to choose.
I think you can take both, though.
You probably can.
Now, I want to just make a small point. I want to go back to...
Power Infusion is also on this tree.
Yes, it's right in the middle, so everyone can take it. It's beautiful.
I love
Couldn't ask for better. The one thing that does kind of confuse me is that Shackle Undead is a talent.
No one will ever take that ever. Thank you, Blizzard. I'm glad you put a useless talent in the center row.
I mean, is it bad that I'm happy about this because that means even fewer players will have it on their bar?
Dude, no priest player has it on their bar anyways.
Exactly, but now no one will even accidentally take it.
Dude,
they'll read it.
They'll
be like, I don't fucking want that.
I was in a raid recently and someone was like, can you shackle and dead that creature? And the person was like, 1 second. And like, and I could hear them thumbing through their player. Like what? They're like, shit, do I have shackle and dead? Is that an ability? Like,
oh man.
So there was that. On the right tree.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I know, right? Right tree, Shadow Word Death, always fun. But that means anyone can take it too, which is good. Vampiric Embrace, I like that it's very life draining. There's like Vampiric Embrace, the Sand Lane abilities too, like leeching and stuff. So you can have your vampire
it's very
erotic
vampire-y.
novel going.
This Mind Games is the Venthyr Covenant ability. So this, vampire, Shadow Priest overlap is kind of interesting. I always thought that and Blood Death Knights. It's like, whoa, those guys are vampires. Holy shit.
Yep. So
straight up. I just want to make a point about the tree in general. Specifically about the Discipline Priest, because I looked out here and I noticed a theme going on. Let's see, where did it begin? There was a talent here that allows your power word, what is it? Power word, what is this? Oh, Prayer of Mending to also put a renew on the target. Let's see, where is it? I thought it was here somewhere. I'm sorry, I just need to find it because I'm making a point about it specifically.
I'll take your word for it. So what's the
point? Well, it might not be here anymore. That was my concern basically. But I mean, it's very interesting seeing Discipline very much split into two halves down here. Because you can take a Shadow Covenant, or you can take like Purge the Wicked, stay on the healing side of it. Oh man, and I'm a little bit disappointed now. I can't find it as easily as I thought I would. But anyway, it struck me as a really interesting raid healing ability or identity that's new to Discipline Priests, where your Prayer Mending now bounces like a bunch more times, and it leaves a renew on every target that it hits. So that's a lot of free raid healing, and I can't find it now. So maybe they took it out, which I would be very sad. Anyway, I thought it was a great tree. Where did you rate it?
I want you to rate first, because...
Okay, let me pull up my rating here. Priest, I gave an A.
Okay, so I'm going to agree with you. I actually gave it an S initially, but there's one thing that they did to priests that is unforgivable, which is dropping it down to an A. They don't have a kick. They're the only healer who doesn't have access to a kick now.
A healer, yes.
They are the only healer.
Now, hold
access
on. So it might not be a kick, but I wonder if Power Word Chastise is base. Let's see. I don't see it on the list here. Desperate. They have a fear, which could be used as a kick. I believe they had Psychic Horror for a time. Mindbender. Yeah, I see your point. Not being able to have an interrupt on demand.
When every Holy Paladins get it, like everyone gets it now, except for Priest. That was the big number one Reddit.
But I will say that, I think they have access to. Let me look at Holy. What the fuck? Sorry, I just noticed this like goes. I didn't notice those talents before. I thought the Chastise. Yeah, here it is. So Chastise is an incapacitate or a stun if you take the Censure talent. That is a fantastic spell for a Holy Priest. I wish that was baseline.
It's a minute cooldown for discipline. So I don't know if you can say it's a good kick when ranged kicks are 24 seconds, melee are 12.
So I'm thinking about if I'm playing, like for example in Torghast or in a Mythic Plus, and I am a priest, I'm holy, and I need something to stop casting. I can cast Chastise. I can cast Fear. Psychic Scream. I wonder if I'm Shadow, would I be able to cast Psychic Horror from in here? I know they also have Silence, but we're talking about healers. But I'm just thinking out loud. Where do they have that? Is that gone now? I think it is. But in any case, they have some abilities here and there that aren't technically interrupts, but could function as them.
Right.
But I think you're right. It's slightly. I think it's a weakness of the class in general. But that's. I think that might be more of a balancing thing because they're kind of the go-to healer for a lot of people.
Fair.
And they don't bring a lot of utility outside of just raw healing power, and that's sort of the identity of the priest, and it always has been. So keeping that identity, I think, is important to a lot of priest players. So yeah, I don't see that being like terrible, but I could see it being kind of a gripe and being kind of a I wish I had that. In which case, I would say play another class.
Yeah, I'm gonna say A. I
right.
would put it. Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's it's in here. It's certainly in the mix. All right, next is Rogue. Oh boy, are you ready?
Yeah.
What do you got for Rogue, man?
I got nothing for Rogue.
Really?
Yeah, I don't play Rogue at all. I have no idea.
This is the only one I gave an S.
Really?
No, actually, I have two classes that got an S.
Okay.
But I will say, and it helps that the Rogue identity is very focused. It's a melee DPS, and it always will be. But I think that no matter where you go on this tree, because again, I mean, if you're assassination, you're mostly going to stay on the left. If you're combat, you're mostly going to stay in the middle. If you're subtlety, you're mostly going to stay in the right. It's very focused, but you can dip easily all the way across if you want to. And there's a lot of really powerful talents here. Stuff that isn't even necessarily game breaking, but just is so like, I don't even know. Let me see. So Vigor here, super powerful. Deadly Precision, super powerful. Let's see, where did it go? Improved Ambush, Night Stalker. I mean, these are great. You can have Find Weakness. Not even the capstones,
which is good.
The capstone, so you get Shadow Dance. You could take that. Deeper Stratagems here, Echoing Reprimand. That changes your whole gameplay. If you play Echoing Reprimand, you're going to be hunting and finding these finishing moves, these specific combo point numbers, so that you can get that 7 combo point value, right? You can even go down, and I think there's other areas in here where you have something similar with the other specs. But I mean, it's just so focused. And it's every talent point you spend is cool. It's powerful. Even some of these like weaker ones up here, quote unquote, they're gonna be useful almost all the time. Tricks of the Trade, very useful. Nimble Fingers. I mean, and then going into Iron Stomach, I could see you taking that for almost any situation. Because you're always going to be popping Crimson Vial to heal yourself. And then you can also get the healing potions and health cells. So even the self-healing aspect of the tree, which is pretty much like take it or leave it, even that is nice. It's nicer than other self-healing talents.
It's also shaped like a dagger.
It is shaped like a dagger. How about that?
Actually, a lot of the trees you'll notice, like the Pali tree is shaped like a shield.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of have a little theming there. But
sure, yeah, but you can run around. You can get secondary stats that are good for you. You can, man, I can't say enough good things about this talent tree. I think it's very easy to find, and certain things that you want, like, oh, they're all right up here. It's like, boom, I want evasion, I want feint, I want sap, I want tricks of the trade. Boom, let's get shadow runner, let's get gouge, let's get shadow step. We can get another get shadow dance down there. Improve sprint. I mean, like, everything you take in here is gonna be good. So I don't know, man. I gave it an S.
I'm okay with that. That works for me. Can I ask for one concede then?
Yeah.
Can we make Evoker S as well? Since that was the one I had as an S. It's the only one I had. Alright, cool. Yay, I win. Yeah, that was the one that I had as an S, was the Evoker. That was the only one.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Rogue, I know so little about Rogue that I have a Rogue who got to level 10. That's how little I know. Literally, I have a rogue where if you made it a Coltiran, it would start at the level that I got a rogue to. Like, I know nothing about
Okay.
So, yeah, I was like, I'm going to leave that one with Derek because I have nothing.
Here's a great example of what I'm talking about. So this is a tier 3 talent, it's 2 points, but straight up, critical strike chance increased by 2%, period. Critical strike damage bonus of your attacks to generate combo points increased by 20%. That's in the base tree. Every rogue is going to take that. It's free. It's powerful for 2 points, and it goes right into cold blood, which is like, yeah, you would definitely want to take that in a lot of builds. It's just fun. Like it's very simple, very straightforward, very powerful. S.
I'm down for it. Works for me.
All right, moving on to Shaman.
As the Mr. Shaman main, I'm curious what you have to say about this.
Yeah, so I looked at all of the specs.
Look at that one. That's your goat mommy right there.
Yeah,
I love
that looks cool. I like this guy, though. Like Elemental.
That's got to be a Hearthstone card, that one right there.
I don't know. I think it might be.
It's got to be. It has that art style.
So let me just preface this by saying I've played Shaman since vanilla. And it's gone through a lot of iterations. It actually lost me for a little bit there, where I was like, what is happening with Shaman? It's so different than how
I mean, that's the common joke with Shaman, is that someone at Blizzard hates shamans.
You're telling me, man. I was talking about this to my guild the other day, because I'm playing Wrath Classic. I'm playing an enhancement Shaman. And I am in there's Flurry for you. That's a good one. I'm in Zuldrak. Is that the right zone? The troll, the frozen troll?
Zuldrak, that's right.
Yeah, Zuldrak. There are some frozen earth elementals out there, okay? And this is still early enough in the game where Blizzard was still doing that thing where, oh yeah, there's some mobs out here that are just straight up immune to nature damage. That's fine, whatever. That sucks for Shaman, because Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Earth Shock, those all do nature damage. Completely fucking immune, okay? Now, let me ask you this. You were talking about kicks a second ago. Wind Shear was introduced in Wrath of the Lich King. What elemental school is Wind Shear?
Nature.
It's nature. So that means that these frozen ice elementals that cast spells are immune to my Wind Shear. So that was a little annoying.
Is it the only kick that actually has an element attached to it? I think it might be. I've never thought of that as being a thing, but I think you might be right on that. I don't think...
I mean, even back to...
Because Rebuke is just a physical hit.
Yeah. Even back to Earth Shock, I mean, in vanilla, when that was your spell interrupt, nature damage. And I think it just goes back to Blizzard's just complete unwillingness to separate lightning from poison. And it's like, can we just please separate those two schools of damage? I'm begging you, Blizzard. Anyway, that's the gripe about Wrath, but I think it goes to the greater point of, like, I think someone at Blizzard just hates Shaman.
So let's talk about this. Chain Lightning, very important spell for enhancement and elemental, and I would even argue restoration. But what I don't like is that Flurry, an ability that is, well, I don't see an elemental or resto taking that, is on the class tree.
Yeah, no, I could see that, but no, that's
kind of annoying.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's annoying, right?
I wouldn't. Yeah, there's only one spec that would take that. Really, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't see.
Why wouldn't? That's interesting. I never noticed that. Why wouldn't
that be
Maelstrom be here? You know, why wouldn't? There's improved Maelstrom. What the?
Yeah, so they kind of did this thing on the Shaman tree where I was like, okay. So you have stuff that literally only one spec is going to want.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to see the Elemental Shaman with his billy club and his shield just swinging on someone with flurry. Like,
you're not going to skip flurry, man. I mean, like, you get Maelstrom. So this is the enhancement tree here that we're
right. That's the enhancement.
So start with Chain Lightning and Maelstrom Weapon. Your first point is always going to be flurry. I almost want to flip this. I mean, Maelstrom is like required, but like, oh my gosh, it's so weird that it's here. I never noticed that.
Yeah, so I didn't like that. I thought that was a little odd. And then the capstones of Shaman. Let's talk about
look at the. Okay, so this Ancestral Guidance is great.
It's an amazing resto ability. Well, I guess anyone.
I mean, I would take it as any spec, honestly. Yeah. Damage and healing converted to healing. Yeah.
So it's good. What about the next one over? Stonekin and Tranquil Air.
Pretty weak.
They exist, you know? Like,
yeah.
Stoneskin's fun. It's one of those, like...
It's 10% physical damage reduction.
Yeah,
very boring.
It's Aura of Devotion.
Very boring.
But on a cooldown with a little bit extra, you know? Like...
Yeah, it's 10% versus 3%. But again, Aura of Devotion is 3% all damage.
Correct.
This is 10% physical.
Oh, really? I didn't even notice that. That's funny.
Yeah.
And what about the one to the right?
Call of the Elements. Oh, boy. What does Call of the Elements do? Where is it? What does it do? Reduces its cooldown by 60 seconds, or it affects an additional totem. Guys? Where the fuck?
What is it called?
Call of the Elements. Or Creation Core. What? Hold on, let me go down here. Oh boy, this is not looking good. I don't even see it.
Call of the Elements is a new Shaman spell in Wrath of the Lich King. Oh, good update, Google.
Oh.
Which allows the Shaman to place 4 totems simultaneously.
Yeah, that's right. They do have that. Call of the Elements. There it is. Yep, and then Totemic Recall. Why is that a talent? Resets the cooldown on your most recently used totem with a base cooldown shorter than 3 minutes. I'm just gonna say right now, I fucking hate this tree.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
So this tree,
there's so many weird like totems and like very weak, very situational totems. Increases the radius of your totems by 8%. You couldn't even give me 10? 10%. Oh my god, this is so embarrassing being a Shaman player.
So I really hated this tree.
Yeah, this is awful. Let me do an enhancement build real quick. Let me just go through it. You do your thing. I'll just be doing it on the screen here.
No, you're fine. I just didn't think that any of the talents. I looked at it and I was like, I guess any class could go any direction, but they can't. But they can. It just didn't feel like anything meshed to make this like cohesive build where it's like, yes, the totem build. Yes, the Chain Lightning build. Like nothing.
Why would you even do a totem build? It's shit.
Calm down, sir.
Sorry.
But I really disliked the Shaman tree a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, the class tree is super weak. It's like you can do a totem build or you can do a Ghost Wolf build, and it's like,
oh boy, I love my Ghost Wolf build.
Excited. Let me just spend 2 points to reduce all magic damage taken by 4%. What am I, a mage? It's terrible. That's a terrible talent right there. Oh man, Spirit Walk, that's mandatory. Nature Swiftness, who cares, man? I'm enhancement. Okay, good. Static. Surging Shields, that's nice. Ugh, God, 2 points for Go with the Flow? That's
they are
disgusting.
bringing back Gust of Wind, though, which is really nice. So...
Yeah, but I didn't take it. I'll take Spirit Walk.
Gust of Wind is so good.
It's fine, unless you're rooted. Which you're gonna be.
Anyways, so how did you feel about this? this?
Yeah, let me pull up my little notes on this. I mean, as a resto, it's fine, I would say, and as an elemental, it's fine. It's a little, again, it's a little weak, but like, look, you start elemental, you start up here with lava burst, you can get some cool stuff. Oh, there's wind shear, I need that. Increase all fire and frost damage, I need that. What the fuck?
Well, why are you taking wind shear when the ice elementals can?
God damn it, you're right. They're immune.
Yeah, fuck wind shear. There are officially 2 healers who don't have interrupts anymore.
No, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty weak, dude. I mean, I gave it a. What did I do? I gave it a B initially, but now I'm looking at it, dude. It's gotta go.
It's a C.
It's gotta go there.
Yeah, I'm tempted to throw it in D.
Me too, but it's got enough going for it for the caster side where it's like okay.
Yeah.
And you get an additional chart of healing stream totem. That's nice. Mana spring totem is all the way over here. Why? Why is that a talent? It makes me mad.
Can we also look at that talent and the way it looks? Why does it look like the skinniest worgen ever?
It looks like a ghoul, or doesn't it look like a ghoul jumping?
Yeah.
It's like a weird looking ghoul guy. It's obviously it's a wolf. Like it looks terrible.
Really, what we're saying, Blizzard, is you need to fix this shit. Like,
they're never gonna fix Shaman. We have to acknowledge
that's true.
All right, so Shaman's a low C.
All the Shaman players in Blizzard quit. You know, they got sexually harassed out of the company.
No. I'm so sorry, everyone. It's terrible.
That was a really bad
Look at this guy. Look at this. We're moving on to Warlock, by the way.
Oh, dude.
Look at this guy. He's pissed.
It's you IRL.
That's me. That's what I look like.
What do the other ones look like?
Oh, man. Affliction, I think, looks pretty cool. It's a Worgen. Cool. I was like, oh, damn. He looks scary. And then Demonology. It's just kind of this
Why are there 2 gnomes and then a
nerd.
Worgen?
Yeah. It's because there's no Horde Warlocks ever. They don't exist. It's not like
the Valley of Shadows or whatever in Orgrimmar would like to have a word with you.
I feel like there was a rumor going around in early like alpha World of Warcraft that Alliance were getting Warlocks, or I'm sorry, Horde were getting Warlocks and Shaman, and then Alliance were getting Paladins and Mages, and they were both going to be exclusive to that faction. So that would have been no Horde Mages. They would have all been Warlocks. And I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
but now we're looking at these,
cool.
and it's like, okay, well, now there's no Horde Warlocks. They're all gone. So
I mean, realistically, the orcs don't want to dabble in that because I don't know if you saw what happened to them last time they dabbled in demonic energy.
Yeah, I don't know.
It didn't really work out for them.
It hasn't happened to the Alliance yet, so they can still screw around. All right, what do you think of the tree?
That's true. Because even the what are they called? The one race of elves.
The Void Elves?
No, the other ones.
Night Elves.
The ones that joined the Horde.
The Blood Elves.
We helped them in Legion.
The Nightborn.
The Nightborn finally got there.
Elf number 5.
Even those Nightborn, the Nightborn are, yeah, right. The Nightborn are also hordes, so
they know what happened.
Like they mess with demonic energy and it fucked them as well. So they got to hang out with their other fucked friends.
Great job, Dallas. All right,
that was alliteration.
So what do we have for Warlock? I have here, and again, this is the core Warlock tree. So I thought this was another good example of like emphasizing what is shared between all 3 specs, and letting you kind of customize what you want and what you don't like in terms of sustain, crowd control, and damage reduction.
Yes.
So that is pretty much all you're going to find here in the Warlock class tree. So in that regard, it's a little weak. You're not going to find a whole lot of like damage increases. And for a class like Warlock that all 3 specs are range, spell, damage, you're not going to find a lot of spell damage increases in this class tree, but it's because it's all in the spec trees and it's all,
And boy, do those spec trees look great.
They do.
By the way.
Warlock looks like a very strong class, and I feel like the class tree itself is pretty much just a grab bag, a pick and choose of how you want all of your support abilities to function. So there's a lot of like, Fell Armor goes into Mortal Coil, and these are all defensive, they're all sustained, they're all healing, they're all CC. And that's the theme I noticed here.
Yeah, and let's look at the capstone, especially the right side.
Sure, yeah. Soul Burn,
look
super
at
cool.
all that stuff, It just feels like there's so much utility that.
Yeah, I mean, literally, let's look.
Demonic.
Demonic Circle, Demonic Gateway, Drain Life, Health Funnel, Health Stone. Those are all 5 of those are really nice, very common support and healing, like survivability spells. So that is a great example of what I was talking about.
So, Soulkeeper. Ooh, that'll be fun. So that's kind of one of the that's more of the, I would say, demonology capstone if you were going for it.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. The Inquisitor's Gaze is always fun.
It's just free damage.
It just
lasts
free
an
damage.
hour.
So the middle,
Like, what the hell? That's just kind of flavorful.
Yeah, the middle one is just like, oh, more damage. The left and right are more utility.
Yeah, and I think these capstones are very clearly like, okay, Grim Feast, Drain Life now channels 30% faster, restores more health. Very clearly Affliction. This is very clearly Demonology. This is very clearly Destruction.
But if you look...
Well, you could make an argument to do any of these in any class or any spec.
And then the other thing that's interesting is if you look the way the bottom portion of the tree is set up,
So
as long as you go down the center or aim for the center, you will be able to get 2 capstones.
Yeah.
100%. You will get 2 capstones.
It's easy to do.
So you can get the middle one for the damage, which every Warlock is going to do. I'm sorry, they're just going to.
Yeah.
And then you can choose whether you want the right one or the left one. Now, I know we're not talking specs yet, but Demonology Pit Lord, okay. Warlock is looking like a good time.
It looks pretty cool, yeah, for sure.
So, what did you rate it?
I gave this an A.
A. That's what I gave it as well. So, I agree with the A. This is actually where we looked at Death Knight as being like the baseline, where it's like all the specs are clearly defined. This is an example of none of the specs are clearly defined.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of mishmash and overlap over here.
But it works really well.
Yeah, it does.
So it's like the opposite of the Death Knight, where the Death Knight is very rigid. This one is very fluid.
Yeah, you could totally
but it's very strong.
You could take anything in these talents and it would be fine. It's pretty much all up to player preference.
Agreed.
And I mean, again, the only knock I'll give it is that there's just not a lot of power to be gained from the class tree, but that's fine because you're going to get it all from your spec and you're going to be okay. Yeah, no, I'm good with that. And let's move on real quick to the warrior, the final class tree here. God, look at that guy.
That is not cool guy
arms.
Steve though.
I like the Fury. I like this night elf. She looks very, very, very powerful. And then protection. Yeah, that guy is a protection warrior.
Yeah.
He can barely see because of how protected he is. Yeah, what are your thoughts on warrior, man? After just leveling one.
Yeah, right? Here, I'm going to have you actually take it first.
Okay. This was the other class tree that I gave an S.
Okay.
And that's because, again, there's actually a lot of power to be gained here. There's a lot of flexibility, and there's a lot of expression. You can go down the tree in almost any way you like, and you're going to have powerful stuff. You're going to have good choices, impactful talents. A lot of one-pointers up here in the top. I like to see that because you don't want to be spending a bunch of points just to get to the next tier. I'd like to have power in the top tier. So again, when you're leveling, when you're starting out, you're learning a little bit about your class. You're still going to feel powerful when you level up and you put a point in. You're going to be excited. Unlike Hunter.
Unlike Hunter.
Yeah,
unlike Shaman.
it's terrible, right? Like, no, I think this is a really cool, because again, I feel like every warrior is going to find some way to build this to their liking, but they're all going to be powerful and they're all going to find cool talents in here that are going to amplify their build. And again, the capstones are also super cool. And I like what they did here where they moved the capstones up a tier and then you get the customization on all of them.
That's what I was
super nice.
So I really like what they did with the capstones on this one, in the idea that you have choice and agency in each of them. And it really does give you, I mean, you have 4 options you could look at. You have what, Avatar on the
Yeah, we have
left.
Avatar, which is amazing because that's just straight up 20% increased damage. Removes all roots and snares. And if you take a movable object, you can get another 10% damage reduction. Like, that's for free. That's a 90-second cooldown. It lasts 20 seconds. That's huge. Thunderous Roar is so cool. Because that's another one. That's Fury, I would say, ish.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you could take that as arms, and that's free AoE damage.
And Rage, which is nice. nice.
And rage, yes, exactly. The bleed effect there increases the damage of your bleed effects by 20% at all times. Excuse me, you know, like that's cool. Spear of Bastion, that's the carrying ability.
That is the carrying ability. And
Very
it's considered
popular.
the number 1 currently as well.
And then you have Shockwave. I mean, again, this is one that we've had for a long time. I think this is a Wrath talent. Seeing it this far down is a little bit, feels like, we already had this and now we've lost it. But still, it's fine to be a capstone because then you get 2 choices of how to customize it.
Plus, it's a cool looking ability.
Shockwave, dude. Shockwave, I mean, Sonic Boom. Shockwave deals 350% increased damage and will always crit.
Yeah.
How cool is that? Even if you're playing prot, you get to throw out a huge Shockwave and it just looks fun. I give it an S, man. I think this is a great tree.
So I was going to give it an A, but it doesn't have condemn, so F. Right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, condemn. Yeah,
condemn, you know.
Can I just say, sidearm, this talent right here? Did you play Diablo 3?
No.
So in Diablo 3...
Oh, yeah, I did. But I played Paladin.
Yes,
remember?
but so the Berserker in Diablo 3 has a rune called Sidearm on one of their primary generating attacks. And it does exactly this. So this is a Diablo 3 is canon in World of Warcraft confirmed.
Yep.
So we're going to be fighting Diablo at the end of this expansion, confirmed. And that means necromancers are coming in. We're going to get Amazons. What else we got? Monks are going to be a lot cooler now. Let's see, what else? Demon hunters
Angels
are going to
will have cool wings now.
Demon hunters are going to be able to use crossbows. I mean, this is blows the door wide open. Just having sidearm in the game means that Diablo 3 is now canon. Yeah,
well,
you know
I'm
what?
gonna mute the mic while
No.
I talk to Darren.
Here's what I want to see. If you've made it this far into our stupid ass video, which is now approaching, it's over 2 hours long. Holy shit. I might cut this up into a few parts, like 3 classes at a time.
Fair.
But if you've made it to this part specifically, I would like to see a comment in the comment section about what class you want to play that started in Diablo 3. That would be super cool. If you could play one Diablo 3 class in World of Warcraft.
Dude, I can't wait to see all those necromancers.
Yeah.
All those necromancer comments.
It's like, really? No one wants to be a wizard? Hello? No? Okay, fine. I'll shut up.
Although the witch doctor.
Witch doctor,
That's
bro.
a pretty cool one.
Witch doctor, dude? Dude. All right, I think we're done. I'm going to put this at an S. And that is, I'm actually going to put it right there. Right
I
above.
hate you so much.
Right above Evoker.
All right, just
to
because
show
you don't
everybody
think
what's going on. So yeah, this is our final tier list. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And yeah, just whatever, like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe. Hit that little bell icon so you can see more of our videos.
I don't know if that works. That only works if we upload videos, which we don't do anymore.
Why you
yeah,
gotta
you're
be like
Valentino
this?
white bag. I know.
All right, thanks guys. This was great.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you. Bye.